Chapter 349. Lu Tianyu was not in a rush to reply to Xiao Qian. He looked at Xiao Qian and revealed a smile on his aged face. He said in a drawn-out manner, "There is something I would like to ask for your help with." Xiao Qian smiled faintly. "Senior must be joking again. You can even draw the divine weapon. Is there anything in this world that you can do? I am just a mere martial saint. How can I accept such a favor?" Without hesitation, Xiao Qian rejected Lu Tianyu's request immediately. Now that he no longer owed Lu Tianyu a favor, there was no need for him to put himself in danger. Lu Tianyu's favor was not that easy to help. Lu Tianyu was not surprised at Xiao Qian's rejection. He stared at Xiao Qian without saying a word. Lu Tianyu's gaze did not contain any irrelevant thoughts. He allowed Lu Tianyu to roar, not saying a word as he looked at Xiao Qian. Xiao Qian felt very uncomfortable being stared at by Lu Tianyu. After a while, he could not take it anymore and said, "Tell me what you need help with first." Lu Tianyu squinted his eyes and revealed a smile on his face. He said, "I just know that young hero Yi is young and promising. You have the heart of a bodhisattva and love to help others. You will take pity on an old man like me." Xiao Qian interrupted, "Please don't flatter me. Just say it directly." Lu Tianyu waved his hand and the wooden box with the words, "Like the emperor descending personally," was sucked over by his palm, rolling around in the air. "I would like to give this divine weapon to you," Lu Tianyu said seriously as he withdrew his smile. Xiao Qian's heart trembled. It felt like waves were surging in his mind. No matter how resilient he was, when he heard that Lu Tianyu wanted to give him a divine weapon, he could not help but feel excited. However, in the blink of an eye, Xiao Qian calmed down. An innocent man would get into trouble because of his wealth. Without the corresponding strength, trying to obtain the divine weapon was akin to seeking death. Furthermore, Lu Tianyu would not give him the divine weapon for no reason. This was the foundation of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. How could they give it to someone else so easily? "Help me pass this to someone. When he sees the divine weapon, he will know everything." As expected, Lu Tianyu quickly replied. Xiao Qian smiled bitterly in his heart. "Senior, can you finish your words in one breath? Handing over the divine weapon to me, aren't you afraid that I'll pocket it for myself?" Lu Tianyu said indifferently, "Even if you want to use it, you won't be able to pull it out. To you it is just a piece of scrap metal." Within the strong wind, Xiao Qian closed his eyes and entered deep thought. After a long time he opened his eyes and said, "Sorry, I really cannot do this. There are many experts in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Why did Senior choose me?" The incident from 3 days ago was still fresh in his mind. The temptation of a divine weapon was too great. The other party did not even care about the Heavenly Saber Pavilion and directly charged over. What ability did he have to protect the divine weapon? Not to mention a peak martial monarch, even a superior grade martial king would be able to defeat him easily. Lu Tianyu said indifferently. There was a sorrowful tone in his voice as he said, "Who in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion would agree to hand the divine weapon to someone else? The Heavenly Saber Pavilion is currently plagued with internal and external problems. A storm is brewing. This is the most dangerous period since the establishment of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. This is also the last wish of this old man. I hope little brother will not reject it." Xiao Qian did not understand. Lung Liusu advanced to peak inferior grade martial king at the age of 17. The 3 holy masters will send people to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. With the support of the Holy Lands, who would be foolish enough to oppose the Heavenly Saber Pavilion? Lu Tianyu shook his head and said, "If this old man could move freely, I would do my best to prevent this from happening. There would not be a good result from interacting with the 3 holy masters." Xiao Qian shook his head and said, "The 3 holy masters are detached from the world. They possess absolute strength and are not under the jurisdiction of any royal clan. Their methods are heaven-defying. There will only be benefits to having them backing us. There will not be any benefits." Lu Tianyu smiled coldly and said, "How foolish. There are many peak powers in this continent. Do you know who, aside from the 3 holy masters, is the true ruler of the world? Do you know how big this world is? You can imagine how dangerous the competition between the peak powers is. Everyone in the world is motivated by benefits. If they cannot obtain something, they will not let others obtain it. There has never been a true savior of the world. As for how big the world was, how many peak powers there were in the continent, and who was the true ruler of the world, Xiao Chun did not know. Lu Tianyu's series of questions rendered Xiao Chun speechless. He could not think of any rebuttal. Cough. Cough. After Lu Tianyu spoke, his expression suddenly turned extremely unsightly. He could not help but cough. Black lines appeared on his face. He looked like he was in great pain. Xiao Chun was startled. He quickly went forward and asked, "Senior, what's wrong? Don't come over." Lu Tianyu's expression turned sinister as he shouted. A horrifying death qi emanated from his body. Xiao Chun's expression sank. He placed his right hand on his saber hilt and retreated, landing at the edge of the cliff. That death qi penetrated deep into one's heart. Xiao Chun had never seen such a pure death qi before. It made him tremble in fear, as though death was just around the corner. Countless black tentacles appeared on the cliff, entangling Lu Tianyu's body. Lu Tianyu's expression remained calm as he endured bitterly. After a long time, the black tentacles slowly faded away. Lu Tianyu's expression calmed down again. However, his face seemed even more aged, as though he had aged 10 years in an instant. Lu Tianyu shook his head and smiled bitterly. "I originally thought that I could still hold on for a while. I did not expect that I would be unable to hold on so soon. Little friend, this is the last time this old man will ask of you. Please help me pass the divine weapon to that person." "Hu Qi." Lu Tianyu waved his hand, and the wooden box containing the divine weapon flew towards him. Xiao Chun could not dodge in time, so he could only stretch out his hand and receive the wooden box. The wooden box felt heavy in his hand. It was clearly very heavy. Xiao Chun placed the wooden box at his feet and asked, "What happened earlier?" Lu Tianyu waved his hand and said, "It was just a high-ranked demon that occupied my body for 20 years. You don't have to bother about it. Unless the divine weapon is of the Saber Emperor's bloodline, it will not be able to bring out its true strength. It will not even be able to draw the saber. When the previous pavilion master handed it to me, he left behind a holy seal. Now I am passing it to you. When you need it, you can draw this divine weapon." "Hu Qi." Lu Tianyu stretched out his hand and pointed. A resplendent holy seal appeared on his fingertip and flew into Xiao Chun's sea of consciousness. Xiao Chun was shocked. He could feel the resplendent holy seal in his sea of consciousness with his spiritual sense. When he looked carefully, he discovered that it was a drop of golden blood. "It looks like this hot potato has fallen into my hands." Xiao Chun withdrew it and sighed to himself. "Where is this person? How do I find him? What is his name?" Xiao Chun asked. Lu Tianyu replied, "He is the younger brother of the previous pavilion master. His name is Lung Tianhe. He left the Heavenly Saber Pavilion several decades ago. I do not know where he is either." Xiao Chun really wanted to curse. He did not even know where this person was. How was he going to find him? Lu Tianyu smiled and said, "I believe you will find him. Let's go quickly. After using the divine weapon recklessly, I have exhausted too much energy. I can no longer suppress him. Now I have to seal myself in ice." A strong force pushed Xiao Chun down without any explanation. Frost slowly covered Lu Tianyu's body. The cold qi quickly spread out. Soon he turned into an ice sculpture. The cold qi continued to spread out and soon covered the entire summit. In the next moment, the entire summit, including Lu Tianyu, was completely sealed in ice. Xiao Chun hugged the wooden box and quickly descended. A strong wind blew by his sides. When he saw the summit covered in frost, he felt very complicated. Xiao Chun placed the wooden box into his universe ring and quickly returned to his courtyard. Lu Ruyue had not gone to sleep yet. She was standing quietly in the courtyard. Xiao Chun hesitated for a while before he told Lu Ruyue everything that happened at the summit in full detail. Who knew that after Lu Ruyue heard this, her expression did not change. She did not seem surprised. Lu Ruyue smiled bitterly and explained, "Back then, when he handed Qingyun to me, he told me that the high-ranked demon was a demon second only to the blood demon general. The demon's soul had been attached to his body for close to 20 years. Actually, he had been in pain all this while. He was just unwilling to tell me. Sealing him in ice might be the best outcome." Lu Ruyue paused for a while before continuing. You don't have to worry too much about the divine weapon. If you place it in the wooden box, no one will sense it. Xiao Chun smiled gently and said, that is all I can do. There are so many people here. It is too difficult to find a person. You should sleep early. If there is a way to save your father in the future, I will think of a way to help. Lu Ruyue nodded and said, in that case, thank you in advance. You should rest early as well. Don't give yourself too much pressure. Early the next morning, Xiao Chun continued to cultivate as usual. He did not put too much pressure on himself because of the divine weapon. However, he was not in a rush to cultivate the Purple Thunder divine incantation. Instead, he focused on the dragon and tiger body sculpting art. Since the Purple Thunder divine incantation met with resistance, he might as well focus on cultivating the dragon and tiger body sculpting art. In the back mountains under a gushing waterfall, Xiao Chun sat cross-legged in the surging water. He used the strictest method to cultivate the final layer of dragon essence and tiger fierceness. The body tempering art was much more arduous and difficult than the cultivation of cultivation techniques. Aside from the endless loneliness, the body had to endure tremendous pressure at all times. In the blink of an eye, 7 days passed. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion used a lot of manpower to repair the destroyed buildings. Within 7 days, the Heavenly Saber Pavilion completely restored the buildings to their former glory. At the same time, they released a piece of shocking news. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion's young pavilion master, Lung Liusu, advanced to peak inferior grade martial king at the age of 17. The Phoenix's Passion Palace, one of the 3 holy masters, would be sending experts to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion at the beginning of the next month to help the Heavenly Saber Pavilion seal the spatial crack. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion would be holding a grand welcoming ceremony on the Heaven Ascending platform. At the same time, they would send out invitations to the various sects and clans within the Great Qin Nation to attend the ceremony. Unexpectedly, the legendary 3 holy masters would be coming to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Furthermore, they had produced an absolute genius who advanced to peak inferior grade martial king at the age of 17. In an instant, the unfavorable rumors about the Heavenly Saber Pavilion vanished like smoke in thin air. The restless subordinate sects of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion immediately sent people to present gifts to show their loyalty. There were also many leaders of the major powers who personally paid a visit. They brought valuable gifts, hoping to form an alliance with the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion, which had many visitors, immediately became crowded. Chapter 350. This was the influence of the 3 holy masters. Just the news of them coming to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion immediately eliminated all the unfavorable rumors about the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. When they passed by Saber City and saw the heads of the Divine Dragon Palace's 7 holy envoys, the shock in their hearts was indescribable. They became even more determined to form a good relationship with the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Xiao Chun, who had heard this news from Lu Suifeng, did not feel any change in his emotions. He only responded indifferently and ignored it. Seeing Xiao Chen's calm expression, Lu Suifeng said somewhat depressedly, Yi Chun, why do you not seem surprised at all? The Phoenix's Passion Palace is one of the 3 holy masters' lands. This is one of the few big things that happened in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion in recent years. Xiao Chun smiled faintly. Don't get agitated yet. Your sister told me about this long ago. I was already agitated once. Do you want me to be agitated again? Lu Suifeng became even more depressed. Why is my sister so biased? She actually hid it from her little brother and refused to tell me. Xiao Chun smiled and said, after I tell you, Chu Xinyun will know immediately. After that, the people of Jade Maiden Peak will know. After that, the entire Heavenly Saber Pavilion will know. Lu Suifeng said innocently, do I look like someone who likes to be in the limelight? Xiao Chun countered with a question. Is that not the case? Lu Suifeng was speechless. Never mind, let's not talk about this. I heard that aside from the royal court, almost all the major powers in the Great Qin Nation will be there for the welcoming ceremony. All the outstanding youths of the Great Qin Nation will gather. At that time, there will be an even more exciting competition than the inner disciple competition. Xiao Chun felt suspicious and asked why? There are no prizes. What is the point of coming to the competition? Prizes? Lu Suifeng smiled and said. What kind of prize would be more enticing than being chosen by the Holy Land? Such things have happened before. The Holy Land has always been searching for genius cultivators. This is something that everyone knows. The Holy Land is the only power that systematically grasps ancient martial techniques. It is rumored that the place where the Holy Land is located is the place with the densest heaven and earth spiritual qi. If you cultivate there, your cultivation will skyrocket. Once you enter the Holy Land, your family and sect will be protected. Xiaochen frowned slightly. If that was the case, Duanyuking Shifeng Hua Yunfei Ji Chongkong Chu Chaoyun, and the others would probably come. For the sake of their respective clans, they would definitely show off in front of the Holy Land. I feel that you should work hard to fight for it. With your talent, it is very likely that you will be chosen by the Holy Land, Lu Suifeng said seriously. Xiaochen thought for a while and said, It's not realistic to think about this. It's better to cultivate on your own. It's better to advance steadily and surely. There are no shortcuts on the path of cultivation. Lu Suifeng thought about it and agreed. He said, I will not disturb you anymore. Continue cultivating. Even if you do not enter the Holy Land, you should still work hard. If you can perform well in the competition, it would be more useful than getting first place among the inner disciples. When Xiaochen heard this, he entered deep thought. I want to get first place among the inner disciples because I want to make a name for Qingyun Peak. It looks like I have a better way to do so. Representing Qingyun Peak in the Great Qin Nation. Defeating the outstanding talents of the various places, and obtaining first place would have a better effect. Yes, it's decided, Xiaochen thought to himself. This is the last thing I should do before I leave the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. With a goal in mind, Xiaochen worked even harder on his cultivation. He spent all his time on breaking through to the final layer of the dragon and tiger body sculpting art. He would do his best to completely cultivate the dragon tendon tiger bone before the end of the month, allowing his body to undergo a complete rebirth. The waterfall rushed down with a force of tens of thousands of kilograms. Xiaochen sat cross-legged at the bottom of the waterfall. The rapid waterfall struck Xiaochen at every moment. Every time it struck, the force would reach 5,000 kilograms of force. Even a regular martial king would not dare to try such a relentless attack for a long period of time. However, Xiaochen was as calm as a rock. He closed his eyes and allowed the torrent to strike his body. The dragon and tiger body sculpting art circulated continuously in his body. Only under such high pressure could his body be in an excited state. Only then could the dragon and tiger body sculpting art make a breakthrough in a short time. Otherwise, if he relied on normal methods, he would need at least 3 months to succeed. After consuming the fasting pill, Xiaochen no longer needed to eat or rest. He just sat under the waterfall day and night. The sun rose and set in the west. It was like Xiaochen had forgotten about time. He cultivated bitterly day by day, day by day. He was already numb to the pain. All that was left was the thought of victory in his heart. He did his best to persevere. In the forest outside the waterfall, Lu Riyue watched as Xiaochen cultivated bitterly for 15 days without eating or drinking. Her eyes turned slightly moist and her heart ached. Pa! 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 Lu Riyue clenched her right fist and punched Lu Suifeng's back repeatedly. It's all your fault, you bastard. Who asked you to talk about a competition with him? He is working so hard now. What if something happens to him? Lu Suifeng begged for mercy, sis, I was wrong. Stop hitting me. I was really just saying it casually. I did not expect Yi-chan to work so hard. Pussy. Bai flew over and joined the group beating up Lu Suifeng. She pouted and said, Elder brother Suifeng is too bad. Elder brother Yi-chan has not eaten for 15 days. It's all your fault. Seeing the enraged Bai, Lu Suifeng wanted to cry but no tears came out. He thought about the days Bai messed with him. He knew he could not stay here any longer, so he quickly left. How could Bai let him go so easily? She chased him through the forest, causing him to flee. Damn it, why am I so unlucky? Indeed, offending women is the most horrifying thing. Unexpectedly, I offended 2 in one go. As Lu Suifeng dodged Bai's attacks, he sighed, Yi-chan, wake up quickly. If you still don't wake up, elder brother will die soon. Boom! Just at this moment, Xiaochen, who was below the waterfall, suddenly opened his eyes. He shouted and his chi rushed to the sky. The torrential waterfall actually flowed in reverse under this roar, forming a wave that soared into the sky. The dragon and tiger body sculpting art reached great perfection. Bang! Bang! The final 2 acupoints on Xiao Qin's right arm opened. From now on, all 16 acupoints on his right arm were opened. Beams of azure light came from the Laogong acupoint on Xiao Qin's palm. Following that was the Daling acupoint, the Naguan acupoint, and the final 16 acupoints. The azure light gathered and formed an azure dragon. The azure light blasted the clothes on his arm into pieces, revealing Xiao Qin's smooth arm. After a while, all the azure light gathered in the flesh on his arm, forming a blue dragon tattoo on his right arm. The dragon's head was on his wrist, the dragon's body was on his arm, and the dragon's tail was on his shoulder. When Xiao Qin looked carefully, this blue dragon tattoo seemed to be alive. Every scale was very lifelike. The pitch-black eyes were tightly shut, as though they could open at any moment. The dragon's aura was very serene, as though it was in a deep sleep. However, Xiao Qin could feel the surging energy. When the blue dragon opened its eyes, it would be able to overturn rivers and seas, move mountains and split rocks. He would be able to overturn rivers and seas, move mountains and crack rocks. Even the heavens and earth would not be able to contain him. Hualala! After Xiao Qin exhausted his qi, the waterfall above him came crashing down again. The higher it flew, the greater the weight and force of the fall. This time it was probably 25,000 kilograms of force. Xiao Qin did not show any fear. He looked at the waterfall above him and smiled gently. Then, he opened his palm and clenched it into a fist. The instant Xiao Qin clenched his fist, the bones in his hand crackled. With a thought, the vital qi in his meridians surged. Boom! Xiao Qin punched at the sky. A berserk fist wind carried a boundless aura as it surged forward. A formless energy split the waterfall in half. The surging waterfall immediately split into 2 halves on either side of Xiao Qin's body. The energy did not lose any momentum. After it split the waterfall, it soared into the sky. The energy pierced through a passing flying spirit beast. It cried out miserably and fell to the ground. When Xiao Qin saw the might of this punch, he said indifferently, "In the past, a casual punch from me could reach 25,000 kilograms of force. That should have been enough to break through this waterfall. However, it was impossible to refine pure energy like essence. Now I have done it. This way it will produce a huge might in actual combat." The waterfall grew endlessly. After it was split in half, it quickly mended again. Xiao Qin pushed off the ground and turned into a beam of purple light. Then, he landed firmly on the riverbank. All the essence in Xiao Qin's body trembled. All the water on his body and in his clothes immediately evaporated. His entire body became very dry. This caused Xiao Qin, who had been soaking in the water for the past half-month, to feel incredibly comfortable. He felt an indescribable carefree feeling. When Lu Suifeng saw Xiao Qin leaping out of the water, his face immediately filled with a smile. He quickly ran over to Xiao Qin and smacked Xiao Qin's shoulder. "Yichen, you finally came out. If you still did not come out, your elder brother Suifeng would have died. Ayo, why is your shoulder so hard?" Before Lu Suifeng could finish speaking, he immediately cried out in pain. He held his right hand, which he used to smack Xiao Qin, and flung it around. In the heat of the moment, Lu Suifeng used 70 to 80% of his strength. In the end, it was like he had struck a heavy piece of frost iron. His entire palm was red and swollen. Xiao Qin's expression changed slightly. He checked his body with his consciousness. The dragon and tiger body sculpting art was still circulating on its own. Xiao Qin had already been reborn. His meridians were like dragon veins. His bones were tougher than a tiger's. After the dragon and tiger body sculpting art circulated, his body could be said to be even harder than steel. He could not control his strength. It would automatically rebound back to the person who attacked him. After Xiao Qin checked the situation, he immediately stopped circulating the dragon and tiger body sculpting art. He smiled apologetically. "Sorry, I forgot to stop earlier. It's fine now. How about you punch me again?" Lu Suifeng looked at his swollen palm. How could he dare to continue? Wasn't that just seeking trouble for himself? Lu Suifeng shook his head vigorously and smiled embarrassedly. There's no need. I appreciate your kind intentions. I'll leave first. This time I nearly died because of you. Elder brother Yichun, you finally came out. Bai was so worried about you. Lu Ruyue, who was following behind Lu Suifeng, immediately flew over and hugged Xiao Chan. When Xiao Chan felt the girl's soft body, he felt slightly embarrassed. This was especially so since he was in front of Lu Ruyue. He blushed slightly and put Bai down. Don't hug me like this in front of so many people. The pressure is too great. Chapter 351. Bai's eyes were filled with doubt. He asked curiously, there's a lot of pressure. Is Bai very heavy? Lu Ruyue slowly walked over and smiled gently. How could Bai be heavy? It is just someone who is embarrassed. Xiao Chun smiled awkwardly. He looked at the two of them and said, sorry for making you worry. While cultivating, although Xiao Chen's mind was completely immersed in cultivation, his divine sense had always spread out in the surroundings, so he knew the situation outside like the back of his hand. Lu Ruyue's actions caused Xiao Chan to feel somewhat apologetic. If such a dangerous matter was seen by someone who cared for him, they would definitely be worried. At that time, he would not be able to consider everything. Lu Ruyue said softly, there is no need to be so pretentious between us. Come, let's go back and rest first. The three of them slowly walked back. Along the way, Bai was the most active among the three of them. He talked about all kinds of things and asked questions that made people not know whether to laugh or cry. The atmosphere was very relaxed. Time flew and soon it was the end of the month. During this period, Xiao Chun was not as crazy as before. Every day, Xiao Chun would only spend half a day cultivating. He would spend the rest of his time with Bai and Lu Ruyue, wandering around the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. After being in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion for such a long time, Xiao Chun had not taken a good look around the Heavenly Saber Pavilion yet. Perhaps he would not have the chance to be as free as he was now. Thus, when Lu Ruyue suggested walking around, Xiao Chun did not hesitate and immediately agreed. As it neared the end of the month, the atmosphere of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion was extremely busy. Occasionally, experts from various places would come over. These were all solitary cultivators or some of the smaller sects or clans. They did not receive an invitation from the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Xiao Chan had brought many gifts, hoping that the Heavenly Saber Pavilion would give him an invitation. He wanted to show his face at the welcoming ceremony, to see if he could leave an impression on the people of the Holy Land. Some sects had especially outstanding disciples, so they were even more eager for an invitation. If the people of the Holy Land were interested in their disciples, they would definitely be able to enter the Holy Land. That clan or sect would immediately become a first-rate or second-rate faction in the Great Qin nation. According to tradition, every time a Holy Land took away a person, the Holy Land would not be able to take them away. Most importantly, they would receive the protection of a Holy Land, and no one would dare to cause trouble for them. Xiao Chen's Holy Land would protect them, and no one would dare to make trouble for them. The endless stream of people made the disciples at the foot of the heaven viewing platform with their flying spirit beasts earn so many spirit stones that their hands went limp. Almost as soon as he picked up one person, another customer came to his door immediately. The sky-gazing mountain was high and steep. If one walked up, even if they ran at full speed, it would take a regular cultivator at least half a day. How could these anxious people bear it? Naturally, they all fought to become flying spirit beasts. Xiao Chan looked at the foot of the heaven-viewing platform, and the people holding on to hope. He sighed ruefully. The charm of the Holy Land is truly extraordinary. Just one news can shake up the entire Great Qin nation. Lu Ruyue, who was at the side, said softly, it can't be helped. In the eyes of ordinary people, the Holy Lands are like gods. With tens of thousands of years of inheritance, this kind of reverence is already ingrained in their bones. When Xiao Chan heard this, he frowned slightly and said softly, how can the path of a martial artist be pinned on the gods? Let's go somewhere else. There is nothing much to see here. Lu Ruyue could feel the sharpness and drive in Xiao Chen's words. She was mildly astonished. Xiao Chan did not seem to care much about the Holy Land. In that case, let's go and take a look at other places. There is still a good place in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion that you have not been to yet. Lu Ruyue smiled gently. After a while, the two of them arrived at the summit of a mountain. The mountain was more than 10,000 meters tall, which astonished even Xiao Chun. After walking 1,000 meters from the middle of the mountain, the entire mountain was shrouded in clouds. When they arrived at the summit, it felt like they were strolling in the clouds. After flying for so long, the two of them felt somewhat fatigued. When they arrived at the summit, they immediately sat down to rest. Looking at the boundless churning clouds, Lu Riyue had a melancholic look in her eyes. She said softly, Yi-chan, the people from the Holy Land will be here in 3 days. You will be leaving the Heavenly Saber Pavilion after the competition, right? To Xiao Chun, the Heavenly Saber Pavilion was just a relay station. Lu Riyue knew long ago that he would not stop at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. After learning listening to the sword and communicating with it, Xiao Chun should have left already. However, he did not. Lu Riyue clearly knew that it was because he wanted to repay her kindness. Perhaps he might even have some reluctance to leave. When Xiao Chun heard this, his expression did not change much. This was a problem that had troubled him for a long time in the past. However, when Lu Riyue chopped down that tree that night, he had already thought it through. Humans had 7 emotions and 6 desires. If they suppressed it, a heart demon would appear. On the path of a cultivator, emotions were not a stumbling block for them. Xiao Chun did not know that when he thought of this, he had unknowingly cleared the biggest obstacle in a cultivator's life: emotions. Emotions were difficult to overcome. In history, there were many experts and geniuses. However, too many of them fell because of emotions. They suppressed their emotions in the depths of their hearts. There were even some resolute people who cut off their emotions and walked the path of cultivation alone. When they reached the bottleneck of the peak, a heart demon would appear. In the end, they would never be able to cross that bottleneck. In the end, they would never be able to reach the peak. After muttering to himself for a while, Xiao Chun looked at Lu Riyue and said seriously, Ryu, I like you. One day, I will not let Qingyun Peak become a burden to you. I will bring you along with me. When Lu Riyue heard this, she blushed slightly. She did not expect the normally reserved and somewhat wooden Xiao Chun to say such bold words. Lu Riyue was stunned for a long time, unable to say anything. Seeing Lu Riyue lowering her head in silence, Xiao Chun suddenly laughed loudly. Lu Riyue raised her head and looked at Xiao Chun. Her gaze was filled with doubt as she asked, What are you laughing at? Xiao Chun did not stop laughing. He continued, Ru, I really like you. I'm really an idiot. Only now do I realize that I like you even more than I imagined. Actually, I should have said this long ago. Whether you are willing or not, I like you. If you are willing to wait for me one day with my strength, I will not let Qingyun Peak become a burden to you. I like you, Lu Riyue. I like you. I like you. I like your every word and smile. I like everything about you. I like how you treat me. I really like you. Xiao Chun suddenly said loudly. His voice was like rushing thunder, echoing 10,000 meters in the sky. The words I like you caused the boundless clouds to scatter. They lingered in Lu Riyue's ears for a long time. Lu Riyue blushed. She covered Xiao Chun's mouth and said, Don't be so loud. I know you like me. Xiao Chun looked at Lu Riyue, whose eyes were slightly moist. He gently removed her right hand from his mouth and held it tightly. Lu Riyue held Xiao Chun's hand. When she felt the temperature of his palm, her tears turned into a smile. She said softly, I believe you can do it. I will wait for you at Qingyun Peak until you return. Xiao Chun gently pulled Lu Riyue's hand and pulled her into his embrace. The two of them did not say anything as they hugged each other tightly. 3 days later, the grand welcoming ceremony finally began. The entire Heavenly Saber Pavilion was immersed in a joyous atmosphere. All the inner disciples woke up early on this day. Xiao Chun was the same. Before the sky brightened, he had already put on his clothes and started practicing his saber techniques in the courtyard. There would definitely be a huge battle today. Be it Duanying Mu Changxue Shifeng, Yin Qixue Hua Yunfei or Ji Changkong. They were all outstanding talents whose names shook the region. Although Xiao Chun was confident that he could defeat them one by one, he did not dare to be careless. A cool breeze rustled and saber lights flickered. Xiao Chun executed all the martial techniques he knew. Of course, he only executed them once and did not use too much essence. Otherwise, if he executed them all, this courtyard would probably be destroyed. When Xiao Chan finished executing them, Lu Ruyue, who had appeared at an unknown time, held a folded white robe in her hands. She had a faint smile on her face as she looked at Xiao Chan. Xiao Chan looked at the white robe in Lu Ruyue's hands and felt a strange energy coming from it. He asked suspiciously, "Ru, what is this?" Lu Ruyue explained, "This is a secret treasure, one of the treasures of Qingyun Peak. It is called the Clear Wind Robe. After you wear it, it can increase your speed by 10% in all aspects. Be it dodging speed, attacking speed, or running speed, they will all increase by 10%. The most important thing is that it does not require you to expend any energy. It will automatically display its effects at all times." Xiao Chan received the white clear wind robe and revealed a joyful expression. If he had only heard the first part, it would not have been a big deal. It would only increase his speed by 10%. However, with the last part, this clear wind robe was worthy of being called a treasure. It did not require any essence to display its effects at all times. It was equivalent to permanently increasing a cultivator's movement technique by 10%. Furthermore, it would increase as the cultivator's speed increased. There was no limit. When used together with Xiao Chen's windwalk shoes, it was a perfect match. "Don't just stand there. Quickly put it on and familiarize yourself with it," Lu Ruyue said as she gently pushed Xiao Chan. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and nodded. He took the white robe and walked to the bedroom. Then, he took off his jacket and changed into the clear wind robe. After Xiao Chan put on the robe and fastened his belt, he looked at himself in the mirror. In the mirror, Xiao Chan was dressed in white robes. His complexion was pale and there was a blue strip of cloth tied around his head. After the Scarlet Throne's mark was covered, Xiao Chen's aura became very otherworldly. Compared to his usual aura, there was an additional scholarly aura. This completely covered up all of Xiao Chen's killing intent. This was only the change in appearance. What shocked Xiao Chan even more was the internal change when he put on the robes. When he put on the robe, thin energy lines that could not be seen by the naked eye immediately shot down from the surface of the white cloth. They entered his skin through his pores and quickly connected with all the cells and meridians in Xiao Chen's body. Xiao Chen waved his hand. He immediately felt that his waving speed was much faster than usual. He raised his leg and took a step forward. Who knew this step was much faster than he expected? He lost his balance and nearly fell over. This was because his speed had suddenly increased by 10%. Before his body could get used to it, Xiao Chen quickly understood the reason behind it. Chapter 352. Xiao Chan was not unfamiliar with this phenomenon. In the past, when the dragon and tiger body sculpting art advanced, his strength would increase as well. After that, his body needed some time to get used to it. However, an increase of 10% was not much. After 5 minutes, Xiao Chen had gotten used to this speed. He pushed open the door and slowly walked out. When Lu Ruyue saw the white-robed Xiao Chan, her eyes lit up. She smiled gently and said, "I did not expect white clothes to suit you. I feel that you should wear white in the future." Bai, who had just come out of the house, stretched his body. When he saw the white-robed Xiao Chan, he ran over and smiled. "Elder brother Yi-chan, you look better today." Xiao Chen smiled faintly. "Very well, I will listen to you. I will wear white in the future." After the three of them washed up and ate breakfast, Lu Suifeng led Xiao Meng and Xiao Yang to Xiao Chen's courtyard. When Lu Suifeng saw the white-robed Xiao Chan, he was about to step forward and pat him out of habit. However, he remembered the previous encounter and quickly withdrew his hand. He smiled and said, "Yi-chan, you look pretty good today. You will definitely be able to achieve victory. After you make a name for yourself, you might even obtain the title of white-robed bladesman." Lu Ruyue, who was at the side, said, "Don't just talk about Xiao Chan. You have to perform well today as well. Don't embarrass our Qingyun Peak." When Lu Suifeng heard this, he quickly changed the topic. He smiled embarrassedly and said, "Don't say anything. Let's quickly go to the heaven viewing platform first." Lu Suifeng led the way, and Xiao Chan and the others followed closely behind. After they descended the mountain, they immediately headed for the heaven viewing platform. There was a lot of people along the way. They were all disciples heading for the heaven viewing platform. This time, almost all of them were inner disciples. This included those who were in closed-door training or those who went out on experiential training. They all returned to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. This was several times grander than the previous core disciple exam. The main road was very lively, and the sounds of discussion never stopped for a moment. Up in the sky, countless spiritual beasts flew towards the sky viewing platform, as though they were covering the entire sky. In addition to the disciples of the sect, most of them were small forces that had received invitations. Generally, large forces would have their own warships. He would definitely not ride a flying spirit beast. Even if he did, he would ride a flying spirit beast of rank 6 or above. Only then would he be worthy of his status. Occasionally, there would be a few strong auras flying over the heads of the crowd. The Martial King experts, who were normally hard to come by, were actually nothing more than street goods today. With a quick glance, Xiao Chan saw several peak Martial Kings. There were even quite a few peak Martial Kings. Suddenly, an extremely powerful aura flew over everyone's head. It was an old man in a black robe, and he flashed through the air with a young man. Sensing this powerful aura, Xiao Chan couldn't help but take another look. That person gave him the feeling that he was a long sword that could cut through the sky, radiating light in all directions, unstoppable. Even though this person had only released his aura unintentionally, Xiao Chan felt a horrifying pressure. The person who went over earlier seems to be Feng Shuani. I did not expect him to come personally. The young man he is bringing seems to be his grandson. I heard that his talent is very shocking. I guess he is here to try his luck. The attraction of a holy land is really great. I remember when the Misty Sword sect master wanted to take his grandson as his final disciple. He was rejected by this old man. Isn't that for sure? How can a sect like the Misty Sword sect compare to a true holy land? It is not even worth mentioning. The people beside Lu Suifeng watched the old man leave. As they walked, they discussed. When Xiao Chan heard this, he felt curious. He asked Lu Suifeng, "Who is this Feng Shuani? He seems very famous." Lu Suifeng explained. "That person is a famous swordsman in the Great Qin nation. He is not even 70 years old, but he is already a martial monarch. I heard that he is the most likely person to become a sword sage in recent years. However, he is independent and does not belong to any power." No wonder Xiao Chan felt so much pressure. It turned out that Feng Shuani was a sword monarch. A holy land was indeed a holy land. Even cultivators who had the chance to advance to sword sage could not resist the temptation. As Xiao Chan continued forward, he met a few peak experts like Feng Shuani along the way. There were even more half-step martial monarchs. Xiao Chan saw at least 10 of them. It looked like it was as Lu Suifeng said. All the experts of the Great Qin nation were here. At the foot of the heaven viewing platform, there was no way to ride a flying spirit beast. There were simply too many people going up the mountain. Often, when a disciple with a flying spirit beast picked up a guest, a large group of people would immediately surround him. There was no way to snatch the spirit beast away. When Lu Suifeng saw all this, he sighed and said, "It looks like we can only walk up. The heaven viewing platform is high and steep. Even if we travel at full speed, it will take us at least 2 hours." Lu Ruyue said softly, "There is no need to go through so much trouble. Xiao Chan and I can just fly up with 2 people each. Although it is slower than flying at full speed, it is much faster than walking up." That was a good idea. Just like that, Xiao Chan carried Lu Suifeng and Xiao Yang. Lu Ruyue carried Xiao Ming and Bai. They slowly flew up together. After 1 hour, the 6 of them slowly landed on the heaven viewing platform. The crowd on the heaven viewing platform was much denser than at the foot of the mountain. The 6 of them were nearly separated by the crowd. There were several newly built arenas on the largest drill grounds of the heaven viewing platform. The arenas were all made of the hard heavenly mountain stone. Then, a layer of frost iron was poured on the surface. Only a large sect like the Heavenly Saber Pavilion could spend so much money to water the arenas with frost iron. The surroundings of the drill grounds were filled with spectator stands from low to high. The spectator stands were already filled with cultivators. Aside from the Heavenly Saber Pavilion disciples, there were even more cultivators who came from other places. The place was densely packed with people. The rostrum at the very front of the drill grounds had already been expanded. It was now twice the size of the previous rostrum. Behind the rostrum was a row of tables and chairs that were clearly higher than the previous ones. The elders of the elders' assembly had already taken their seats. If one looked carefully, they would discover that the first elder, Jiangqi, who usually sat in the middle, was not sitting in the middle. Instead, he was sitting on a chair at the side. On both sides of the rostrum, there were many simple but very grand tea tables. It would not be a problem to seat thousands of people. On the left side were the seats for the people of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Tianyue Peak was the closest to the rostrum. Next was Gongyu Peak, Jade Maiden Peak, and Qianduan Peak. The 7 peaks were arranged in order from strongest to weakest. Aside from Qingyun Peak, the people of the other 6 peaks were all present. These peaks had their own warships. It was not strange for them to be faster. There were even more tea tables on the right side. There were at least a dozen of them. The people seated there were all the clans of the great Qin nation. The weakest of them was a power like the White Water City's Jiang clan. The few tea tables near the rostrum were empty. This was prepared by the Heavenly Saber Pavilion for the noble clans in large sections. Without a certain amount of strength and resources, it was impossible to get close. Little brother Jiang, when will the people from the Holy Land fall? The one who spoke was the sword monarch Feng Shuani. His tea table was on the right side. Currently, he was the closest to the rostrum. Only someone of his status would dare to address Jiangqi as little brother. Jiangqi did not get angry at such a form of address. The other party was much stronger than him. Logically speaking, he should be a junior. Jiangqi smiled gently and said, "Brother Feng, don't be impatient. The people from the Holy Land arrived yesterday. They are currently checking the bones of our young pavilion master." Feng Shuani picked up the teacup on the tea table and took a sip. He said, "Let me congratulate little brother Jiangqi first. This time, the Heavenly Saber Pavilion has produced an absolute genius. At the age of 17, he became a peak inferior grade martial king. In the future, he will definitely regain his glory." "That's right. Congratulations, Elder Jiangqi," the group of family heads and solitary experts on the right said in unison. Jiangqi smiled faintly and responded to them one by one. He was clearly in a good mood. Just at this moment, a pure black warship flew over from the sky. A black banner fluttered on the bow of the warship. There was a flamboyant Ji character on the banner. "The people from the Nanling province's Ji clan are here." The person standing on the bow seems to be the genius of the Ji clan, Ji Chongkong. The people in the spectator stands around the drill grounds exclaimed. After a while, another warship slowly flew towards the platform. It was the Hua clan of the Dongming province's inherited noble clan. Not long after, a huge ice bird carrying an ice palace on its back slowly flew over everyone's heads. It's the Duanmu clan's profound ice palace. Duanmuking is here as well. The Gi Marquis of the royal court, Ing Shao, is here as well. The Gi Marquis is a genius with a holy weapon. I wonder how he will perform this time. The Night Spirit Palace's warship is here as well. The 2 geniuses of the Nanling province, Mu Changshu and Ji Chongkong, are here as well. Heavens! The Misty Sword Sect's King Grade warship is here as well. Could it be that their sect master is here as well? The 3 great sects are all here. This is definitely the first time in the history of the great Qin nation. The crowd was completely excited. These strong noble clans and sects that normally dominated their regions were all here. More importantly, the geniuses of these sects were all here as well. More than 100 geniuses gathered in one place. Just thinking about it made the people below excited. Soon the tea tables on the right were filled with people. As expected, the table closest to the platform was occupied by the Misty Sword sect, followed by the Night Spirit Palace. In the end, the Misty Sword sect's sect master did not come. Instead, the Misty Sword sect's first elder Ling Chan came. He was a half-step martial monarch. His position in the sect was second only to the sect master. His status was similar to Jiang Qi's. Ling Chan glanced at Feng Shuani, who was not far away. He smiled gently and said, "Senior Feng, my sect master once personally came to take your grandson as his final disciple. However, Senior did not agree. Now that the Holy Land is here, you come uninvited. Isn't this a little too much?" Feng Shuani's old face glistened with divine light. He did not look old at all. When he heard Ling Chen's words, he said indifferently, "This old man admires the Misty Sword sect's sect master's attainments in swordsmanship. However, it is not to the point of reverence. My grandson's talent is even higher than mine. In the future, he will definitely become a sword monarch. If he does not have the confidence to become a sword sage, I will not let him enter any sect. I will teach him myself. Chapter 353. Beside him sat a green-clothed youth, about 17 or 18 years old. He had delicate features and looked like a youth. However, his temperament was very calm. When he heard the older generation talk about him, his expression did not change at all. He was like a silent sword. Ling Chun smiled gently and glanced at the silent youth. He ignored him, but he felt it was unfortunate. This youth's talent was only slightly inferior to Chu Chaoyun's. At a tea table at the back, Duanyuking's cold and beautiful face was expressionless. He was looking at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion tea table in front, searching for something. When Ji Chongkong saw Duanyuking's gaze, he smiled gently and said, "Miss Duanmu, who are you looking for?" Duanyuking withdrew her gaze and said indifferently, "Are you still not clear who I am looking for?" Hua Yunfei, who was at the side, took over the conversation and said, "It seems like that person has not arrived yet. I did not see him make a move the last time. Who knows, we might be able to confirm his identity this time." In the past year, many outer disciples of the noble clans had died a violent death. Someone had chopped off their heads. It was clear that someone had taken them to the Flying Snow Mountain Manor to claim the bounty. To these noble clans, it was not a serious matter. However, it caused the noble clans to lose a lot of their prestige. Furthermore, after more than a year, the noble clans had not even found a trace of Xiao Chan. They were a joke to the world. Duanyuking said sullenly, "Everyone should have no doubts about the agreement we made before we came, right?" A murderous intent flashed in Hua Yunfei's eyes. He said fiercely, "Don't worry, this fellow killed several elders of my clan. If we can confirm it, I, Hua Yunfei, will be the first to step forward." Ji Chongkong's gaze was calm as he said indifferently, "He killed my uncle. Mother already gave me the order to kill him." Chu Chaoyun, who was at the very front, saw all this. There was a look of mockery in the depths of his eyes. However, he hid it very well. Almost no one noticed it. At the tea table beside the Misty Sword sect, Mu Changshua gently held his teacup. Occasionally, he would glance at the empty tea table on the left. That was the tea table reserved for Qingyun Peak. Beside him, Mu Yanshua and Shi Feng sat quietly. In order to be closer to the people from the sacred grounds, Shi Feng didn't choose the Shi family's table this time. Instead, he wanted to bask in the glory of the Night Spirit Palace, so he sat at the second table on the right. "Eldest senior brother, it seems that fellow hasn't come out yet. You promised to teach him a lesson on my behalf. You won't go back on your word, will you?" Shi Feng said with a gloomy expression. Mu Changshua smiled faintly. The copper mirror in the depths of his eyes spun continuously. He placed the teacup on the table and said, "Don't worry. You gave me 1,000 medial-grade spirit stones. I will not take your things for nothing." The leader of the Night Spirit Palace this time was the first elder of the sect. He sat at the very front of the tea table. When he heard Mu Chengshua's words, he frowned slightly and said, "Chengshua, whether the Night Spirit Palace can form a connection with the Holy Land or not depends on you and Mu Yanshua. Don't spoil the important matter because of your personal grudges." Mu Changshua replied respectfully, "First elder is right. However, I will help junior brother Shi as well. I will help him vent his anger, and let the people of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion know that the people of our Night Spirit Palace are not so easily bullied." The first elder nodded and said, "I heard about Shi Feng's matter as well. He has indeed tarnished the reputation of the Night Spirit Palace. It would be good for you to teach this person a lesson." On the streets of the heaven viewing platform, Xiao Chen, who was bravely advancing through the crowd, did not know that before he appeared, he had already attracted the attention of countless people. Lu Rua looked at the crowd and said, "Yi-chan, there are too many people. This is a waste of time. Let's work together to open a path." Xiao Chen already had this intention long ago. The crowd was so crowded that it made him feel frustrated. The two of them immediately released their energy and formed a cone-shaped shockwave. The two ferocious energies merged together and immediately opened a wide path through the crowd. The group ignored the curses of the people around them and increased their speed by several times. Lu Suifeng smiled and said, "We should have done this long ago. When Yi Chan and I fight for Qingyun Peak and perform well, we will go to the Elders' Assembly to request a flying warship. In the future, we will not have to be so annoying." 10 minutes later, the group of 6 finally arrived at the gates of the drill grounds. Lu Ruyue handed over her golden identity token. After Lu Ruyue handed over her golden identity token, the disciples outside immediately led the 6 to a secret path. They did not lead them to the spectator stands like the others. The exit of the secret path was actually behind the platform. That disciple said respectfully, "Marshal Aunt Lu, let's go up quickly. The elders have been waiting for a long time already." After Lu Ruyue expressed her thanks, she led the 5 of them to the limestone steps of the platform. Before they reached the platform, Xiao Chan could feel strong auras. There were even a few that he was familiar with. After climbing the long flight of stairs, the group finally arrived at the top. Xiao Chan immediately felt countless gazes filled with ill intent directed at him. Xiao Chan looked down and remained calm. He ignored all these gazes. "Ruyue is late. First elder, please forgive me," Lu Ruyue said to Jiang Qi, who was on the platform with a cupped fist salute. Jiang Qi smiled gently and said, "You are not late. The people from the Holy Land have not arrived yet. Take a seat first. I am filled with anticipation for Yi Chan." After everyone sat down, servants immediately placed some snacks and fruits on the table. Then they filled the teacups with water. When Xiao Chan saw the figure of the Biyun Peak's peak master, Song Ke, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He gave Song Ke a deep look before withdrawing his gaze. Now was not the time to deal with this person. Without an elder's guarantee, if he killed this person, he would offend the entire Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Song Ke, who had his back to Xiao Chan, felt like someone had used a sharp knife to carve his back. It was incomparably painful. It must be that brat's killing intent. To think it is so horrifying. Song Ke clenched his remaining fist tightly. His heart was filled with hatred. When Xiao Chan walked onto the platform, the delicate youth beside Feng Shuani raised his eyebrows slightly. A sharp gleam appeared in his calm eyes. He could not help but release his sword intent. "What's going on? I can't control my sword intent." The youth was shocked. He looked at Xiao Chan with caution. Sword intent would only react like this when it felt danger or a strong killing intent, protecting its master from danger. However, the youth did not feel any killing intent from Xiao Chan. Xiao Chan was dressed in white robes and had a calm expression. There were no fluctuations in his emotions at all. The youth frowned slightly. He could not figure it out no matter how he thought about it. So he whispered into Feng Shuani's ear. When Feng Shuani heard this, he felt it was strange as well. He looked at Xiao Chan with a deep gaze. It was like a sharp sword tearing through space trying to see through Xiao Chan. Xiao Chan moved his spiritual sense and immediately felt a strong mental energy sweep past him. The strong spiritual sense turned into a sharp blade and sliced through this mental energy. After that, he quickly formed a protective barrier around his body, preventing the other party's mental energy from probing him again. At the same time, he extended his spiritual sense along with the other party's mental energy, trying to find out who was spying on him. This series of actions happened in the time it took for a spark to fly. Xiao Chan only needed a thought to complete it. It was shockingly fast. However, the other party had abandoned this strand of mental energy, making it impossible for him to track it. After Xiao Chen's spiritual sense scanned the air once, he could only return helplessly. However, he maintained the protective barrier formed by his spiritual sense. As Xiao Chan looked at the crowd, he felt somewhat suspicious. Who exactly was it that was spying on him? That strong mental energy from earlier was on a completely different level compared to a regular martial king. Only a half-step martial monarch or a martial monarch would have such an ability. Half-step martial monarchs and martial monarchs were not people that Xiao Chan could afford to offend. Even if he found them, it would be useless. I'll just keep an eye on them. Thinking of this, Xiao Chan withdrew his gaze and ignored them. On the other side, when Feng Shuani saw Xiao Chen's reaction speed and his strong mental energy, he was shocked speechless. He had not expected Xiao Chan to react so quickly. However, he finally understood why his grandson's sword intent had erupted uncontrollably. Fengxin, when you meet this person later, be careful. This person is hiding an extremely strong state of massacre. Your will of the sword has already reached small perfection. You can feel a threat from him, which is why you automatically protected yourself. Feng Shuani projected his voice and told Fengxin everything he saw. Originally, he had intended to observe a little more. Who knew Xiao Chen's reaction was too fast? Furthermore, his mental energy was strangely strong. Feng Shuani only managed to see something related to the state of massacre. While waiting for the people from the Holy Land to arrive, the crowd at the tea table started chatting. After all, there were so many geniuses. Normally, it was rare for them to gather together and discuss the problems of martial cultivation. This would be beneficial to everyone. About an hour later, a red sun suddenly appeared in the clouds 10,000 meters high in the sky. When the crowd looked up carefully, they discovered that it was not a real sun. Instead, it was a huge fiery red bird connected from head to tail. Every feather carried a scarlet flame. It was blazing and boundlessly resplendent. With one glance, it looked like another sun. The air in the drill grounds immediately turned scorching hot. It was like all the air had been burned dry, making breathing difficult. Chi! A melodious phoenix cry resounded. The vermilion bird spread its wings and soared. Instantly, the might of an ancient holy beast spread throughout the drill grounds. Many experts felt a wave of pressure. The martial spirits in their bodies stirred restlessly. They felt an instinctive fear from the depths of their hearts. Their essence became chaotic, rampaging through their bodies uncontrollably. Their meridians ached dully. The cultivators quickly suppressed the chaotic essence in their bodies and stabilized their minds, controlling their restless martial spirits. Who? The fiery red vermilion bird gently flapped its wings and withdrew its divine might. The crowd immediately felt the pressure on them lessen. All the discomfort they felt vanished, and they felt much more relaxed. This is the holy beast vermilion bird. What a horrifying pressure. Fortunately, it only lasted for an instant. Otherwise, I would not be able to suppress my martial spirit any longer. Even before the battle, my essence is in chaos, and my martial spirit is already out of control. If I clash with the people from the Holy Land, I will probably be defeated in one move. Chapter 354. The people of the Holy Land are indeed not people we can guess at. They are too strong. The crowd in the spectator stands all looked up to the sky. When they saw the beautiful scarlet vermilion bird, their eyes were filled with fanaticism and awe. Compared to the others, Xiao Chan did not feel anything. He did not feel any pressure at all. Song Ke had already shattered his martial spirit, and it was hidden in more than 300 acupoints in his body. There was only one chi whirlpool left in his body. Hence, his expression was calm. Everything was normal. Looking at the fiery red vermilion bird in the sky, Xiao Chen's lips curled up in a mocking smile. This is interesting. The moment he appeared, he used the aura of a holy beast to put on a show of strength. He wanted everyone to know who the main character was. Now it circled around in the air a few times but still refused to come down. Does it like the attention of the crowd that much? Boom! 5 minutes later, the vermilion bird circling in the sky turned into a beam of fiery light and landed on the platform. In a breath of time, it landed firmly on the ground. 5 people wearing long red robes appeared before the crowd. There was a golden vermilion bird embroidered on their robes, covering their entire body. There was an old man and 4 youthful boys and girls. There were 2 males and 2 females. The males were handsome and elegant, and the females were beautiful and pure. They were very pleasing to look at. There was no aura scattered. The energy from the fall of 10,000 meters was perfectly merged into the ground, vanishing into thin air. This showed their strong control over their strength. Xiao Chun was rather impressed by this move. If it were him, he would not be able to do it so casually and naturally. The first elder Jiang Qi quickly stood up. He had a respectful expression and some anticipation as he asked the old man, "Elder Yan, how is our young master's talent?" The old man with the family name Yan smiled gently and said, "His aptitude is excellent. He can cultivate in the Phoenix's Passion Palace for 3 years. If his comprehension ability is high, he might even become a core disciple of the Phoenix's Passion Palace." The group of Heavenly Saber Pavilion elders all had smiles on their faces. Even the usually calm Jiangqi had an excited expression on his face. Many thanks, Elder Yan. Jiangqi cupped his hands in thanks. Greetings, Elder Yan. The clan heads and elders on the platform reacted and immediately stood up. They cupped their hands in greeting to the Phoenix's Passion Palace's elder. Elder Yan raised his hand slightly. The smile on his face did not diminish, making him look very amiable. However, there was an undetectable hint of arrogance in his words. He said, "Everyone, there is no need to be so polite. I am only an outer elder of the Phoenix's Passion Palace." After everyone sat down, they discovered that the people from the Holy Land were much more amiable than they had imagined. Their favorable impression of the Holy Land increased even further. Xiao Qin's eyes were as sharp as lightning. He caught a flash of arrogance in the old man's eyes. The arrogance of the youths behind him was even more obvious. The Phoenix's Passion Yin slowly sat down and said softly, "The Phoenix's Holy Land. Sex Holy Land Sex Sect Palace's Sect." At the same time, I wanted to see if there were any geniuses that could be excavated in the Great Qin Nation. That was why I asked Elder Jiang to help me invite everyone here. Feng Shuani asked softly, "Elder Yan, can you tell us more about the sacred ground selection criteria?" Elder Yan replied, "It is similar to what everyone is thinking. There will be a competition that will allow us to see the actual combat abilities of the cultivators. After that, we will measure their aptitude. However, there is a threshold before that." "What threshold?" Feng Shuani asked. Elder Yan glanced behind him and a young man immediately walked out. This person's name is Luo Li. He is ranked within the top 100 of our Phoenix's Passion Palace's outer disciples. As long as you can exchange 10 moves with him, you will be qualified to participate in the grand competition. Otherwise, if there are too many of them, it will be troublesome. When the crowd heard that Xiao Chan had only exchanged 10 moves with an outer disciple, they immediately heaved a sigh of relief. This person was only a superior grade martial saint. He should have no problem exchanging 10 moves. Luo Li sneered in his heart when he saw everyone's expressions. This group of lowly people really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Do they really think that it's so easy to last 10 moves against me? Luo Li pushed his feet off the ground and moved through the air in a red arc. Then he landed firmly on an arena. Wherever it passed, the red sparks on the streamline would linger for a long time. It was a beautiful sight to behold. Elder Yan nodded and said, "Let's begin. If you are confident in your strength, you can come forward and give it a try. Those who can last 10 moves will be qualified to participate in the grand competition." Elder Yan's voice was not loud, but it was exceptionally clear. Every cultivator in the spectator stands could hear it clearly. As long as one could last 10 moves, they would be qualified to participate in the grand competition. When they heard this, almost all the cultivators were tempted. Their expressions were filled with excitement. Although they knew that the Phoenix's Passion Palace disciples were extraordinary, if it was only 10 moves, most of the cultivators felt that they could give it a try. "Who?" A gray figure descended from the spectator stands and landed firmly on the ground. It was a cultivator who was confident in his own strength and had come to test his moves. This gray-robed cultivator was no older than 20 years old. He had a squarish face, thick eyebrows and large eyes. He looked very ordinary and had a sword hanging at his waist. However, his eyes were spirited and his steps were majestic. With one look, it was clear that he was an expert. This person performed a cupped fist salute and said, "Shiha Province's Flowing Cloud Sect Yifan. Please give me some pointers." So it is the Flowing Cloud Sect Yilan. This Flowing Cloud Sect is considered a large sect in the Shiha Province. Yifan is the strongest person in this sect. If he makes a move, he should be able to test out the strength of the Holy Land's people. Yilan has been a medial grade martial saint for a long time. He should not have any problems enduring 10 moves. If even he cannot do it, then half of the people here will be eliminated. Some of the people who recognized Yilan started discussing in soft voices. Luo Li wore red robes and his long hair fluttered in the wind. A look of disdain flashed in his eyes as he said indifferently, "You are not worthy. Let me give you some pointers. One move is sufficient to defeat you." Arrogant. I want to see how incredible the Holy Land's people are. When Yi Fan heard this, he became slightly angry. He placed his right hand on his sword hilt and drew it with a schwa sound. He brandished his sword and in an instant, he sent out thousands of sword lights at Luo Li like a torrential storm. The sword images flickered and the wind howled. Every strand of sword light contained a trace of cold qi. When there were thousands of sword lights, there were thousands of strands of cold qi. The temperature of the arena immediately plummeted. The surface of the arena, which was infused with frost iron, was soon covered in a layer of ice. This is the flowing cloud sex ice sword shadow, a peak earth-ranked martial technique. I did not expect this Yilan to have practiced it to small perfection. He can send out thousands of sword lights in an instant. The sword qi covered in the state of ice is not easy to break. An elder leading the Misty Sword Sect's team commented from the platform. The Misty Sword Sect of the Great Qi Nation was an expert in using the sword. Their understanding of sword techniques was definitely higher than everyone else's. Everyone nodded to themselves at his comment. The only sword monarch present, Feng Shuani, also felt that this sword shadow was not easy to break. Although Yi Fan had not comprehended the state of ice, the ice on the ground showed that his understanding of ice was very close to that of a state. When the Phoenix's Passion Palace's elder Yen saw all this, he smiled faintly. He was not worried at all. He thought to himself, if I can't even break this sword technique, then why did I call Luo Li out to embarrass himself? When Luo Li saw the ice sword shadow filling the sky, the corner of his lips curled up. He revealed a mocking expression. You have not even comprehended the state of ice, and you are not embarrassed to come out and embarrass yourself. Melt. After Luo Li spoke, a ring of red flames appeared under his feet. The flames rose up from his feet and circled around his body. Finally, they formed a fiery red vermilion bird image. Z. A heat wave invisible to the naked eye spread out from Ro Li's body. The ice on the ground was instantly evaporated into water vapor. After a while, the ice sword shadow slowly melted in the air. When it was 10 meters away from Luo Li, the cold qi on the ice sword shadow had all evaporated into steam. With the disappearance of the cold qi, the ice sword shadow was completely broken. All the ice sword shadow automatically dissipated in the air. Everyone in the spectator stands had their mouths agape. They had never imagined that the thousands of sword shadows would be broken so easily. Everyone thought that the ice sword shadow would not be able to injure Luo Li. However, they did not expect him to break it without even making a move. Feng Shuani suddenly understood. He muttered, one has not even comprehended a state, while the other has comprehended the state of fire to great perfection. Furthermore, he has the support of an ancient divine beast martial spirit. They are on completely different levels. Boundless steam spread out in the arena, covering Luo Li's figure like a mist. Hu Qi! The steam filled the air and a fiery red figure soared into the sky. Then he turned into a beam of red light and flew rapidly towards Yi Fan. While Luo Li was in the air, before he got close, he sent out a palm strike. When the palm wind struck the air, it gave off a boundless roar and formed an intense qi tornado. Flames surged out from the qi tornado. In an instant, the force of Luo Li's palm strike brought out a large flaming tornado. The flaming tornado formed a strange formation in the air. It vaguely looked like the silhouette of a vermilion bird. While this palm strike looked simple, it was actually very profound. When Yi Fan saw the flaming tornado in the sky, his expression changed drastically. He placed 2 fingers on the bottom of his sword and quickly slid upwards. Every time his fingers slid upwards, the light on the sword became brighter. When his fingers slid past the tip of the sword, a boundlessly resplendent sword light soared into the sky. The sword light was 30 meters long and extremely sharp. Its aura was vast and mighty, trying to scatter all the flames in the sky. Suddenly, Luo Li shouted in the air. The vermilion bird martial spirit above his dantian immediately gave off a melodious cry. A strand of holy might shot at Yi Fan at lightning speed. The vast holy might caused the martial spirit in Yi Fan's body to tremble involuntarily. His essence immediately became unstable. The incomparably sharp sword light immediately showed signs of loosening. That incomparably sharp aura disappeared without a trace in an instant. Chapter 355. It's over, Yi Fan thought in horror as his complexion paled. He felt like he had fallen into an abyss. Bang! The The flaming tornado instantly scattered Yifan's sword light, which had lost its sharpness. The horrifying energy struck Yifan's body without holding anything back. Yifan vomited a large mouthful of blood in the air as he was flung high into the air. His skin was already charred black. Just at this moment, a figure broke through the flames and ruthlessly smashed a palm strike on Yifan's chest. Yifan's injuries worsened as he vomited another mouthful of blood. His body fell outside the arena. When the boundless flames scattered, only an unharmed Luoli remained in the arena, standing proudly. I said I would defeat you in one move, so I will defeat you in one move. Next. Luoli's cold and arrogant voice resounded throughout the drill grounds. Under the blazing sun, the originally bustling drill grounds fell deathly silent. No one said a word. Luoli thought in horror as he watched the heavily injured and unconscious Yifan being carried away by the flowing cloud sect elders. How is this still an exchange of moves? Xiaochen frowned slightly. This person was too ruthless. If he could not withdraw the flames, then he did not even need to use the final palm strike. However, this person still attacked. It was clear that he wanted to beat the other party half to death, showing no mercy. After the crowd fell silent for a while, another person came down to challenge. There were always people who were confident in their strength. Enduring 10 moves did not seem too difficult. Once they passed, they might be able to enter the Holy Land. At that time, they might become as strong as the other party. This person was slightly stronger than Yifan. He had already comprehended the state of wind to small perfection. He managed to endure 9 moves after much difficulty. Luoli was slightly injured and exhausted a lot of his essence. However, he still had most of his strength. He thought joyfully, I just need to endure one more move. However, Luoli smiled coldly. He unleashed the holy might of his ancient martial spirit again. His opponent's martial spirit trembled, and his essence became unstable. An opening appeared, and he was sent flying in the final move. You can't even withstand a single blow. Next. You are full of openings. How embarrassing. Scram. Trash wants to enter the Holy Land to cultivate? Go down. For a time, more and more people came down to challenge him. However, all of them were defeated by Roli. Some did not even last 5 moves and were directly knocked down. Some managed to endure 9 moves, but Luoli immediately unleashed the holy might of his vermilion bird martial soul for the final move. Using the might of a divine beast, Xiao Chan caused the other party's martial spirit to tremble and essence to become unstable, forcefully breaking the other party's killing move. Just like that, dozens of people went down. Many of them were outstanding talents from various regions, and their strength could be said to be terrifying. However, none of them could last more than 10 moves against the other party. Furthermore, those who went up were all heavily injured, a tragic sight to behold. Luoli showed no mercy at all. When Feng Shuani saw this, he found it hard to bear. He said to Elder Yen, isn't this threshold a little too strict? Since it is a threshold, can we not use sage might and test it with our strength? Feng Shuani's words were also what the others were thinking. If they did not use their holy might, there should be at least 10 people who could last 10 moves. However, once Luoli used the vermilion bird's holy might, he would be unrivaled within the same cultivation realm. Even an inferior grade martial king that was 1 grade higher would not be a match for him. Elder Yen smiled faintly and said, Everyone, this holy might is actually the most crucial part of the threshold. If one cannot even withstand the holy might, then what is the point of entering our sect? Furthermore, this Luoli's vermilion bird bloodline is not of the direct line of descent. It is already very diluted. It is not considered much in our sect. When the crowd heard what Elder Yen said, they could not find any reason to refute. Even if they could only keep it in their hearts. Who asked him to control the Holy Land selection? How could they dare to refute him? As the crowd spoke, another disciple in the arena got his internal organs ruptured by Luoli's palm strike. He vomited blood and rolled off the arena. It was a tragic sight to behold. He was in a sorry state. When one looked carefully, this person was actually the 9th-ranked Liuza of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's Wind Cloud list. Unexpectedly, he could not last more than 10 moves against Luoli. The strength of the Holy Land's people is indeed horrifying. Unexpectedly, even the 9th-ranked Liuza of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's Wind Cloud list could not last more than 10 moves. Many of the cultivators in the spectator stands recognized Li Yuza. They all exclaimed in astonishment. Luo Li looked at this person indifferently and smiled coldly. With such strength, he can be ranked 9th in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion? The Heavenly Saber Pavilion's ranking is too worthless. Even trash like him can make it onto the ranking. When many of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion disciples heard this, their faces turned red. They felt humiliated and could not suppress the rage in their hearts. They wanted to jump down and teach this person a lesson. However, when they thought of his strength, they felt helpless. If senior brother Murong had not left, this person would not have the chance to be so arrogant, using the might of the Holy Spirit. This is too much, many of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion disciples said angrily. When Jiang Qi, who was on the platform, heard Luo Li's words, his expression changed as well. Elder Yin smiled and said, Elder Jiang Qi, don't mind him. Youths always have their sharpness. Don't take it to heart. When Jiang Qi heard Elder Yin siding with Luo Li, he smiled embarrassedly to indicate that it was fine. Then he looked at Xiao Chun below the platform. After thinking for a while, he said, Yi Chun, go down and exchange moves with this disciple from the Holy Land. 10 moves will do. 10 moves? In that case, 10 moves, Xiao Chun thought to himself as he looked at Luo Li, who was looking at him mockingly. Yi Chan, be careful, Lu Riyue said worriedly as she held Xiao Chen's hand under the tea table. Xiao Chun turned his head and glanced at Lu Riyue. There was no fear on his delicate face. He smiled gently and said, It's fine. He is not a match for me. I can defeat him in 3 moves. Hu Qi. Xiao Chun slowly stood up and pushed off the ground with his feet. He turned into a purple beam of light and instantly landed on the arena. It's Yi Chun. Yi Chun came out. Even without Murong Chong, Yi Chun will definitely take revenge for us. Indeed, how could we forget about Yi Chun? Yi Chun even defeated Murong Chong before. He will definitely be able to last 10 moves. Yi Chun, don't disappoint us. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion disciples below the arena looked at the white-robed Xiao Chun, who had landed on the arena with a calm expression. Their originally powerless hearts became hot-blooded again as they cheered. Their blood had not turned cold yet, and their beating hearts could still burn. When the severely injured Li Yuza saw Yi Chan appear, he said unyieldingly, Is he Yi Chan? Recently I have been hearing this name a lot in the Shiha province. He was the one who killed the evil beast on the Black Dragon River. Not only did he kill the black tuna whale that time, he even killed the expert of the older generation, Yu Mingshan, who chased after them. Previously, I heard that there was a youth called Yi Chan wandering around and killing many high-rank spirit beasts. It looks like he is the one. Now Yi Chen's name was no longer as obscure as before. He represented the leading figure of the younger generation in the Shiha province. In many people's hearts he was already the second Murong Chong. It could even be said that he had already surpassed Murong Chong. The white-robed Xiao Chun had a calm expression on his face. He turned a deaf ear to the voices around him, unfazed by honor or disgrace. An empty reputation would forever be an empty reputation. There was no need to be anxious or happy. The corner of Luo Li's lips curled up, revealing a mocking expression on his handsome face. He smiled faintly and said, It looks like you are extraordinarily popular. However, you are just a person from the lower realm. You will never know how high the heavens are. No matter how strong a genius is, they are not even comparable to dog shit in my eyes. Xiao Chun smiled gently and looked at Luo Li calmly. He said, You are just an unranked disciple of the Holy Land. Don't think that you are a god. In my opinion, you are the one who is looking at the sky from the bottom of a well, not knowing how big the heavens are. Xiao Chen's words seemed to have struck a chord in Luo Li's heart that he could not touch. A trace of anger flashed on Luo Li's face as he said coldly, I will make you scram off this arena within 3 moves. Is that so? I seem to have promised someone to defeat you within 3 moves. Xiao Chan smiled gently. Luo Li's expression turned sullen as he snorted coldly, arrogant. Boom! Luo Li shouted, and a scarlet flame immediately soared up from his feet. It circled around and formed the image of a vermilion bird behind him. Then he sent out a palm strike. The wind in the air exploded. The force of this palm strike blasted out countless intense cyclones. Flames soared in the cyclones, forming many 100-meter-tall flaming tornadoes in the blink of an eye. The rings of flames of various sizes formed a strange formation in the air. From a distance, it looked like the rough outline of a vermilion bird. It was this move again. Many experts from before had fallen to this move. Xiao Chun used the power of the vermilion bird to create a destructive force that could sweep away all obstacles. Xiao Chun's eyes lit up, and his expression was resolute. He placed his right hand on the lunar shadow saber, and drew his saber at lightning speed just as the flaming tornadoes were about to hit him. Rumble! Suddenly thunder roared in the calm sky. Purple lightning tore through the air and infused into the lunar shadow saber. The snow-white saber immediately flickered with a purple light. Xiao Chun moved forward at lightning speed and hacked down. The saber passed right through the center of the vermilion bird's head. He wanted to break the power of this move with this saber strike. The sharp saber strike contained the purest state of thunder. Everywhere the saber light passed, it tore through everything. Wuxia! Everyone in the drill ground seemed to hear the mournful cry of a vermilion bird in their minds. Then the flaming tornadoes and the layers of horrifying tornadoes shattered. The scattered flaming tornadoes blew wildly in the surroundings, blasting the 4 fences of the arena until only 4 lonely pillars remained. The pillars were charred black. Kase! Kase! After that, the 4 pillars shattered piece by piece. Unexpectedly, they were all charred from the inside out. This showed how tyrannical the power of this flame was. Seeing Xiao Chun easily break the martial technique that Luoli was so proud of, countless people thought to themselves, good. When Luoli saw his proud martial technique, the flaming phoenix chain burst, being broken in the most direct and decisive manner. His expression changed slightly. Luoli pushed off the ground and soared into the air. The vermilion bird image behind him flapped its wings gently. As the vermilion bird flapped its wings, Luoli's aura started to soar. Soon it reached its peak and his state of fire reached its peak. Chapter 356. A formless scarlet flame enveloped Luoli's entire body. The temperature in the arena rose rapidly, and the frost iron under his feet became shockingly hot. Xiao Chun felt like his windwalk shoes were being roasted by a furnace. The soles of his feet felt extremely uncomfortable. Just as Xiao Chun was about to circulate his essence to resist, a cool breeze blew from the windwalk shoes. The temperature immediately dropped. Unexpectedly, the windwalk shoes had such a function. This inadvertently helped Xiao Chun a lot. When Xiao Chun saw the situation, he stopped moving. This move contains the vermilion bird sword chi that contains a peak state. Let's see how you break it, Luoli said coldly as his aura reached its peak. Luoli's entire body became like a sharp bright red sword. He held 2 fingers on his right hand together and pointed at Xiao Chun. A scarlet sword chi quickly appeared. It gave off a piercing sonic boom as it shot towards Xiao Chun. Its speed was very close to the speed of sound. The scarlet flaming sword chi contained a state was extremely sharp. Before it got close, Xiao Chun could already feel its sharpness. Xiao Chun moved back gently and moved at lightning speed. He decided to avoid the sharpness for now. Z. A finger-sized hole immediately appeared where Xiao Chun originally stood. Unexpectedly, it pierced through the frost iron. The terrifyingly high temperature caused the frost iron to sizzle and steam to rise. Chi. Strands of scarlet sword chi rained down like arrows. Xiao Chun retreated again and again. You think you can retreat? Haha. I have a total of 999 strands of sword chi in this move. Let's see how you can retreat. Stand down and die. Luoli laughed maniacally in the air as he watched Xiao Chun retreat. The vermilion bird image behind him flapped its wings continuously. When Xiao Chun saw the vermilion bird flapping its wings behind him, he entered deep thought. He muttered to himself, so that's how it is. Suddenly, Luoli's feet left the ground. Half of his body was already dangling at the edge of the arena. The hearts of the spectators jumped. The entire place immediately fell eerily silent. Is Yi Chun going to be defeated as well? Everyone thought unwillingly. The state of thunder that had already gathered in the air churned ferociously. Muffled thunder roared continuously. Arclight slash. With a shout, Xiao Chun swung his saber. The purple saber chi drew a long arc in the air. The end of the arc was pointed at the vermilion bird image behind Luoli Creek. With a painful wail, the vermilion bird stopped flapping its wings as if it had been struck by lightning. Bang! When the attacks landed on the vermilion bird, it was like they landed on Roly himself. Roly fell heavily to the ground with a pale complexion. The sword chi that filled the sky immediately disappeared above Xiao Qin's head. Xiao Qin smiled faintly. His white robes fluttered in the wind as he walked forward. Damn it! When Luo Li saw the relaxed Xiao Qian, he roared ferociously and smashed the ground with his right palm. Hu Qi! Hu Qi! Instantly, countless small red flaming birds flew out from the ground. They chirped continuously, filling the sky with red flaming birds. Each of these flaming birds could easily blast apart a small mound. With so many of them, they would be able to flatten a mountain. Wuxia transforms to Qi. Xiao Chun brandished his saber as he advanced step by step. The divine Wuxia tree appeared from nowhere and turned into strands of dense purple saber Qi. The purple saber Qi flew everywhere in the air, shattering the flaming birds into sparks and shattering them. Sparks filled the sky and deafening explosions resounded above Xiao Qin's head. Xiao Qin's expression did not change. He walked at a moderate pace as his white robes fluttered. He continued to walk towards Roly, who was on the ground. Haha! You actually dare to get so close to me. Do you really think this move is over? 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix combine. Roly laughed maniacally from the ground. The countless sparks in the air immediately gathered at a certain point. A horrifying aura spread out, and a fiery red vermilion bird quickly formed in the air. Qi breaks Wuxia break. Xiao Qin's expression did not change. He did not stop moving as he formed hand seals with his left hand. The drifting purple energy in the air quickly gathered together with Xiao Qin's hand seals. When the vermilion bird completely formed, a strand of dense purple saber Qi flew out at lightning speed. In an instant, it shattered the vermilion bird that had just formed into dust. Not good, Elder Yen, who was in the spectator stands, thought to himself as he watched Xiao Chun slowly walk over with a calm expression. Elder Yan's expression changed slightly, as he sent a voice projection to the other man behind him. Luo Huang, Roly might be defeated. Prepare to make a move at any time. 3 moves have passed. You are full of openings. You are here to embarrass yourself. I hope you can receive 3 moves from me. Xiao Chun said calmly as he looked at Roly, who had an expression of disbelief on his face. This was not the first time Roly had said this to the people he knocked off the arena. When he heard Xiao Chun return it to him, he felt humiliated in his heart. Do you think you have one? I still have not used my holy might. How can an ordinary person like you understand the horror of a holy might? Roly said with a sinister expression. Originally, Roly thought that he could defeat his opponent without using his holy might. That way, he would be able to humiliate his opponent even more. Now it looked like he was the one being humiliated. The vermilion bird above his dantian cried out. Immediately, a strand of vast holy might shot at Xiao Chun. Blue dragon cloud soaring art. Roaming dragons 9 transformations. Xiao Chun pushed off the ground and instantly split into 9. 9 cool breezes blew in the arena. Xiao Chen's killing chi was completely gone. No one could even feel his killing intent. How can this be? My holy might, which has always been successful, is actually useless. My opponent's movements are perfect and flawless. It does not look like he is affected by the holy might at all. Roly's expression changed drastically. This time he finally felt some horror. He quickly retreated, but the 9 figures had already surrounded him. The cool breezes hid a boundless killing intent. There was no way for him to retreat. The 9 silhouettes merged together in the air. The killing intent that had disappeared suddenly exploded, covering the sky and covering the earth, covering the entire arena, making it impossible for anyone to hide. This made Roly feel that he was so close to death for the first time. Aside from the holy might, he was just a top-notch genius. His strength was close to that of Duanyuking and the others, perhaps even slightly weaker. Now that the holy might had lost its effect, Roly's heart was in complete chaos. Furthermore, the overwhelming killing chi immediately made him lose his wits. A resplendent saber light immediately lit up on the snow-white saber. Then it stabbed into Roly's chest, 10 centimeters away. This was Xiao Chun holding back. Otherwise, this saber would have stabbed into Roly's heart. The vermilion bird embroidered in golden thread on the scarlet robes suddenly lit up with a golden light. The resplendent golden light prevented Xiao Qian's saber from stabbing into the robes. It is actually a secret treasure. The people of the Holy Land are really generous. Even an outer disciple has a defensive secret treasure. Xiao Qian thought to himself. Ro Li's pale complexion immediately regained its color. He laughed loudly and said, I nearly forgot. I have a secret treasure with me. You cannot injure me. This robe is an imitation of an ancient secret treasure, the golden jade robes. However, it is useless to tell you. You are just a lower realm bumpkin. You probably do not even know what a secret treasure is. Ha ha ha. Ignorant. The people of the Holy Land are actually so ignorant. Xiao Qian was speechless. With a thought, a strand of the state of massacre on the scarlet throne quickly flowed out. Ro Li's smile froze very quickly. Suddenly, a red light appeared on the dazzling purple saber. With a chi sound, the tip of the saber easily pierced through Ro Li's robes. Blood spurted out of the wound. Ro Li grabbed the saber with his hand and said in a fluster, How can I be injured? A lower realm bumpkin actually injured me. One move. Xiao Qian quickly withdrew his saber. Drops of blood dripped from the tip of the saber onto the arena. Bang! Xiao Qian gently raised his right foot and stomped down heavily. After the dragon and tiger body sculpting art reached consummation, this was the first time he used the full strength of his physical body. Countless cracks instantly appeared on the surface of the arena, which was made of frost iron. The cracks spread rapidly, and countless pieces of frost iron flew into the air with a loud boom. The huge force sent Ro Li flying uncontrollably. His complexion paled, and he vomited another mouthful of blood. This kick contained 50,000 kilograms of force. If it landed on his opponent's chest, it would be sufficient to shatter his internal organs and severely injure him to death. For the third move, I will return a palm strike to you. You are not qualified to say whether the Heavenly Saber Pavilion is trash or not. As for you, without the vermilion bird martial spirit, you are just trash. On the platform, Luo Huang's expression changed slightly. He pushed off the ground and turned into a beam of red light, flying over quickly. He shouted, Stop! Xiao Qian could not be bothered with Luo Li. He stood up and sent a palm strike at Ro Li's chest. Ro Li's body immediately shot backward like a cannonball. Luo Huang caught Ro Li's body in midair. However, he did not expect the force in Ro Li's body to be so ferocious. It was like catching a mountain. A muffled sound came from Ro Li's chest. His body soared up and quickly spun in the air, trying to dissipate the force. Good. This time, the many cultivators in the spectator stands could no longer suppress the excitement in their hearts. They all shouted out loud. Many of the cultivators who went up earlier were all sent flying by Ro Li's palm strike. Then he spoke extremely humiliating words. Many people wanted to step forward and send out a palm strike. However, they did not have the strength to do so, so they could only suppress it in their hearts. Xiao Qian's palm strike and his words struck the bottom of their hearts. They vented the anger they had been suppressing in their hearts. On the platform, Lu Ruyue looked at Xiao Qian, whose white robes fluttered in the wind. There was an indescribable smile in her eyes. At a tea table not far away, Yun Kersen, who was similarly dressed in white, watched Xiao Qian. She revealed a faint smile on her delicate face and said softly, This is the sharpness that a bladesman should have. Who cares what holy land it is? If you humiliate me, I will return it tenfold, 100-fold. A golden warship floated above the clouds 10,000 meters in the sky. A golden flag fluttered on the bow of the warship. This was the incomparably huge flagship of the Imperial Dragon Legion. The beautiful Princess Ingyu, who wore golden battle armor, was playing with a wooden sculpture on the deck. The girl depicted on the sculpture wore a long red dress. She was extremely beautiful and very lifelike. This was especially so for her intelligent eyes. They made the sculpture seem alive, showing the exquisite craftsmanship of the person who carved it. Chapter 357. It no longer looked like an inanimate object. Instead, it looked like an absolute beauty that could come to life at any moment. The girl in the statue was Princess Ingyu herself. Ingyu smiled gently and said, Not bad. You hand in your homework every month. Furthermore, they are all different. Nangong Lai, who was not far away, had a wide smile on his face. He said, "This brat unintentionally helped us a lot this time. The legend of the Holy Land will become a joke." Ingyu withdrew her smile and put away the statue with a flip of her hand. She peered through the boundless clouds and saw the situation in the drill grounds. She muttered, "There is no such thing as a true legend in this world. However, this time he really helped us greatly." In the desolate back mountains of the Lingyun mountain range, where the reincarnation well was, 8 old men in red robes were carefully inspecting the seal in the reincarnation well. Suddenly, the expression of the leading old man changed. He raised his head and looked in the direction of the heaven viewing platform. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion's 9th elder, who was beside him, asked cautiously, "Elder Luo, did something happen?" The 9th elder could not help but feel nervous. The old man before him was an inner sect elder of the Phoenix's Passion Palace, ranked 6th. His words already carried some weight in the inner sect. The outer sect elders could not compare to him. His cultivation was unfathomable. The person responsible for repairing the seal this time was this person. Elder Luo withdrew his gaze, and an imperceptible rage flashed in his eyes. He smiled faintly and said, "It's fine. The seal is much better than I expected. Who knows, we might be able to repair this spatial crack. Even if we cannot, the Heavenly Saber Pavilion will not have to worry about a demonic calamity within 100 years. Luo Huang, who had finally recovered from the force, landed firmly on the heaven viewing platform's drill grounds. He gently placed Luo Li down and glared at Xiao Chan angrily. "Friend, aren't you a little too heavy-handed? I already said to stop," Luo Huang said with a cold gaze and a sullen expression. "What a joke. Now you know that you are too heavy-handed and say to stop. Earlier Luo Li injured so many people. Why did you not say to stop? Seems like we are not humans in your eyes." Xiao Chan replied indifferently, "My skills are inferior. What's the point of saying so much?" Luo Huang laughed coldly and said in an icy voice, "What a good I am inferior to you. In that case, if I kill you now, you will have nothing to say, right?" When Xiao Chan felt the other party's killing chi, he moved back slightly and adjusted his body's condition to its limits. He said softly, "You can't do it. How much stronger are you compared to him? Holy might is useless against me. In my eyes, you are just ordinary martial saint experts. Reckless fool." With a flip of his palm, a sword appeared in Luo Huang's hand. Killing chi gushed out from his entire body. Sword light danced as he executed a killing move, flying towards Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen was fearless. He held his saber with one hand and flew into the air. Clang, clang, clang. The two of them crossed each other in the air, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of moves. Their weapons clashed, and the sound of metal clanging rang out continuously. After they parted, the two of them quickly turned around and started fighting again. Each move was more dangerous than the previous. They did not leave any leeway for themselves. Saber chi and sword chi flew everywhere in the arena. The strong frost iron was riddled with holes from the shockwaves of the two's attacks. It was beyond recognition. Soon, the arena that the Heavenly Saber Pavilion had prepared meticulously shattered. It became a scene of desolation. There was no place that was even. The two of them were cultivators who comprehended states. Every move they made caused intense energy fluctuations in the surroundings. Occasionally, there would be sparks and lightning in the surroundings of the battle. However, Xiao Chen's state had merged with his blue dragon's holy might. Furthermore, it had undergone the baptism of the heavenly Das. It was much stronger than his opponents. After 200 moves, Luo Huang slowly fell into a disadvantage. Xiao Chen pressed on, not wanting to give his opponent a chance to go all out. He infused his strong state of thunder into the state of massacre once again. A red light appeared in the purple saber light. The sharp state of massacre instantly turned the berserk state of thunder sharp and horrifying. Bang! 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 Xiao Chen brandished his saber thrice, breaking his opponent's sword technique like breaking dead branches. When faced with Xiao Chen's sudden increase in saber technique, Luo Huang was clearly caught off guard. Luo Huang, who was already at a disadvantage, lost all his sword technique. He looked like he was about to lose. Ding! Xiao Chen knocked away Luo Huang's sword with his saber. Then he leaned forward and sheathed his saber. Then he sent a palm strike at his opponent's chest. Luo Huang vomited a large mouthful of blood and flew out of the arena. The second person from the Holy Land had been defeated by Xiao Chan with one palm strike. Senior brother Luo. The two Holy Land female disciples on the platform exclaimed. They flew over and caught Luo Huang. After the two girls treated Luo Huang's injuries, they did not say anything. They just drew their swords and flew into the arena, charging at Xiao Chan. Xiao Chan smiled faintly and said, "If one is not enough, then the two of you attack together. However, if you are not strong enough, what is the point of having more people?" Kase. Xiao Chan drew the lunar shadow saber again, and executed the blue dragon cloud soaring art. Then he activated the windwalk shoes. Originally, Xiao Chen's heaven-ranked movement technique already allowed him to be much faster than regular cultivators. Now with the windwalk shoes and the clear wind robes, his speed increased by 30%, reaching Mach 2. Only a white figure could be seen in the arena moving around. Boundless saber chi appeared and disappeared mysteriously. By relying on his advantage in speed, Xiao Chan fought 1 against 2. Unexpectedly, he held a suppressive advantage. He suppressed the two Phoenix's Passion Palace female disciples to the point where they could not even retaliate. They could only bitterly endure and deal with Xiao Chen's unpredictable attacks. It was a one-sided situation. After the 100 moves were over, Xiao Chan infused in the state of massacre once again. Xiao Chen's saber technique immediately became twice as sharp as before. The strong force knocked away the swords of the two people. Bang! Bang! Xiao Chan sent out 2 palm winds, and the 2 female disciples from the Holy Land followed in his footsteps again. They were knocked off the arena with 1 palm strike. The spectator stands were deathly silent. They all looked at Xiao Chan with astonished gazes. Originally, they thought that it would be pretty good if Xiao Chan could help them vent their frustrations. However, he defeated 4 people from the Holy Land in one go. How strong was he? It was not just these people who did not expect this. The other people on the platform did not expect this either. Even Elder Yan's face was filled with shock. His eyes filled with disbelief. His brain short-circuited. Although these disciples were ranked in the top 100 of the outer sect, they were peak geniuses in the lower realm. How could someone defeat them all in one go? Mu Changxue, who was on the platform, took a sip of tea. Then, he slowly put down the teacup and looked at the white-robed Xiao Chan in the arena. Mu Changxue revealed a playful smile as he said indifferently, "I love watching people fall from the clouds to the bottom of the valley. The higher you fly, the more painful the fall will be. Today I will throw you to your death." After Mu Changxue spoke, the rapidly spinning copper mirror in the boundless depths of his right eye suddenly stopped spinning. A beam of white light tore through the air and shot out. The white light did not contain any killing chi. It was silent and did not give off any energy fluctuations. Before Xiao Chan could react, the white light struck him. In the next moment, Xiao Chan was startled. The bones in his face started to change rapidly. Xiao Chan wanted to stop it, but that strange white light turned all of his efforts into nothing. No matter what he did, he could not stop it. Xiao Chan used the shape-shifting spell and slowly recovered his appearance. His originally delicate and ordinary face, aside from his fair complexion, had turned into a handsome and elegant young man with well-defined features. The people in the spectator stands were no stranger to this face. This was because there was a wanted poster of this person in every big city within the Great Qin nation. As long as one entered or exited a big city, they would be attracted by this huge wanted poster. Many of them even had thoughts of capturing this person and claiming the reward. On the platform, the various noble clans' heirs were no stranger to this face. If this person was not the Xiao Chan that they had been searching for more than a year, who else could it be? On the platform, the Gi Marquis Duamyuking Ji Chongkong, Hua Yunfei Shifeng, and Yin Qishua's expressions all changed greatly. The noble clan elders behind them all had sullen expressions as well. Although they had already expected this, when the result appeared before their eyes, they were still caught unprepared. The person who had been wanted for such a long time was actually hiding in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Furthermore, he had become the strongest of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's 3rd-generation disciples, his name shaking the Shiha province. Lu Ryue's expression changed slightly. She was somewhat astonished as she said, Yi-chan? How could it be Xiao-chan? Everyone in the spectator stands could not accept this fact. Earlier, Yi-chan was a genius disciple of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, he had become a wanted criminal of the noble clans. Who? After Duanmuking, Ji Chongkong, Hua Yunfei, and the Gi Marquis recovered their wits, their figures flashed, and they landed firmly on the ground. Hua Yunfei looked at Xiao-chan and smiled coldly. You killed my clan's elder and hid for more than a year. So, you were hiding in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. No wonder I could not find you. Even if the Heavenly Saber Pavilion protects you today, you will not be able to escape death. You killed my uncle. You have to stay here today, Ji Chongkong said expressionlessly as stars flickered in his eyes. There was no expression on Duanmuqing's cold face. She said indifferently, between you and me, we can only fight. The Gi Marquis wore golden battle armor and slowly drew his holy weapon, the sky-splitting sword. He pointed it at Xiao-chan and said, No one has ever survived after injuring me. Who? A figure flashed over. It was the Shiha province's Yan clan's Yan Qishua. Yan Qishua looked at Xiao-chan and said indifferently, My second brother's whereabouts are unknown because of you. I will not make things difficult for you. I will just leave behind an arm. Ha ha ha. A burst of maniacal laughter came from the sky. It was Shifeng flying over quickly. He said in a loud voice, Xiao-chan, you did not expect such a day to come, right? Back then, you humiliated me in Shiha City. Today, I will trample on you ruthlessly. Xiao-chan closed his eyes and looked at Shifeng flying over. He thought to himself, it seems like anyone can step on me. However, who do you think you are, Shifeng? How dare you shout at me? Xiao-chan suddenly opened his eyes. A murderous intent appeared on his sharp face. Chapter 358. Xiao-chan's originally reserved aura was no longer hidden. His sharpness was unrestrained. He pushed off the ground and soared into the air. The dragon and tiger body sculpting art circulated at full force. The roars of dragons and tigers came from the acupoints in his body. Dragons and tigers circled around him as Xiao-chan opened his fingers. His knuckles crackled. Xiao-chan's figure shifted slightly and he dodged Shifeng's attack. Then he punched Shifeng's chest. Kasie! The rock in front of Shifeng's chest shattered. He vomited a mouthful of blood in the air and flew back. He landed on the tea table in the Night Spirit Palace. Mu Changxue was about to place the teacup down when Shifeng smashed the tea table into smithereens, leaving it hanging in the air. When Mu Changxue saw the pale Shifeng in a sorry state, he smiled and said indifferently, Junior brother Shi, you are so weak. Why do you like to join in on the fun? Shifeng felt very depressed. He felt that at least 5 of his ribs were broken. His internal organs were also injured. He had internal injuries and external injuries. He had completely lost his combat prowess. What a disgrace. Stand back. Don't embarrass the Night Spirit Palace. The Night Spirit Palace's first elder said with an extremely sullen expression. Shifeng struggled to stand up. He felt guilty in his heart. He lowered his head and did not dare to retort. Mu Changxue gently let go of the teacup in his hand. The teacup immediately fell to the ground. However, it did not shatter like Mu Changxue expected. Instead, it did not move at all. It is a little lively. Not just anyone can join in. Mu Changxue picked up his beauty under the moon sword and leaped into the air. Then he appeared in the arena. Mu Changxue looked at the white-robed Xiao-chan, who had already recovered his true appearance. He smiled gently and said, There is still an unfinished battle between you and me. Let's end it today. Xiao-chan remained expressionless as he looked at Mu Changxue quietly. He did not expect this person to be so shrewd. Mu Changxue had discovered his true identity long ago, but did not expose it. Today, his identity was exposed before the world, forcing him into a dead end. The people in the spectator stands were all shocked. The 6 noble clans worked together to put out a bounty on Xiao-chan's head. This was already unprecedented in the history of the Great Qin nation. At this moment, another great sect had appeared. The chief disciple of the Night Spirit Palace, Mu Changxue, also had a grudge against Xiao-chan. If he were to include the fact that he had just injured the people from the Holy Lands, then he would have offended even the Holy Lands. There would definitely not be another person with such boldness in the future. Even if the Heavenly Saber Pavilion wanted to protect Xiao Chan, they would have to think twice before doing so. The three strongest aristocratic clans, the Guy Marquis, who held a high position in the prince's residence, and the Night Spirit Palace, one of the three great sections. With so many strong powers they could sweep through half of the world. Who would dare to offend all of them? Only Xiao Chan would dare to do so. If you want to kill Xiao Chan, ask me, Lu Ruya first. A pretty figure on the platform drew a small saber in her hand. A strong aura of a martial king surged out and blocked in front of Xiao Chan. When Xiao Chan saw Lu Ruyue's back, he could not help but feel a warmth in his heart. Only Lu Ruyue would protect him at the first moment. Although I, Lu Suifeng, am not strong enough, if anyone wants to kill my brother, they will have to ask me first. Lu Suifeng had rushed over as well. The noble clans also want to kill people in my Heavenly Saber Pavilion. I, Mu Chan Zhonglai, will not allow it. Zhonglai and Mu Chan, who were in the spectator stands, flew over as well, blocking in front of Xiao Chan. Bai, you have to protect elder brother Xiao Chan as well. If anyone wants to kill elder brother Xiao Chan, Bai will make a move on him. On the platform, the originally excited Bai was stunned when he saw the sudden situation. He did not know what was going on. After he figured out that someone wanted to kill Xiao Chan, his delicate face immediately sank. Hu Qi. Another white figure flew over in a flash. It was as quiet as a falling leaf. It was Yun Kursen standing on the platform. She placed her right hand on the saber hilt at her waist, blocking in front of Xiao Chan. She did not say anything, but her actions clearly showed her attitude. If you want to kill Xiao Chan, you will have to ask for my saber's permission first. On the spacious arena, the scene of the two sides facing each other appeared. Boundless killing intent filled the air. Boundless killing chi spread out in the air above the arena. Both sides did not give way, clashing with each other. Winds blew, clouds churned, and the sky changed color. Before the previous wave had settled, another wave rose. The crowd originally thought that Xiao Chan had entered a dead end. They did not expect so many people to come out to protect him. At this moment, if one asked who was in the happiest mood, it would be Song Quebec. The others felt conflicted in their hearts, but Song Ke felt carefree. Originally, they thought that Xiao Chan had outstanding talent and had caught the attention of the elders' assembly. However, now they discovered that Xiao Chan was a wanted criminal. Furthermore, he was wanted by the big powers of the great Qin nation at the same time. His chance had come again. Heavens will made a fool out of people. There was a glimmer of hope at the darkest hour. What else was worth being happy about? When Song Ke thought of this, he could not help but laugh. He said loudly, "First Elder, this Xiao Chan hid his identity and entered our Heavenly Saber Pavilion. He has ulterior motives. He wants to draw the conflict between the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, the Holy Lands, and the noble clans to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. He is simply trying to destroy our Heavenly Saber Pavilion, destroying our 10,000 years of foundation. His intentions are sinister and vicious. He must be killed." Song Ke used his identity as the Biyun Peak's Peak Master to throw a few hats at Xiao Chan. He wanted to consign him to eternal damnation. Jiang Qi looked coldly at Song Ke and ignored his words. He projected his voice and sent a voice transmission to Xiao Chan. "I don't care what your identity is. I only have one question. Are you going to join the Divine Saber Camp? As long as you say the word, my Heavenly Saber Pavilion will deal with this for you." Jiang Qi's words rang out in Xiao Chen's mind. He shook his head slightly. He could not stay in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. "Many thanks for Elder's kind intentions. Sorry, I cannot accept it." "In that case, you are asking for it. Don't blame me for being merciless." If Xiao Chan could not stay in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, then no matter how talented he was, his glorious future would have nothing to do with the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Since that was the case, there was no need for Xiao Chan to deal with this unexpected calamity. Jiang Qi said sullenly, "All Heavenly Saber Pavilion disciples on the platform, listen up. Quickly withdraw. My Heavenly Saber Pavilion will not interfere in personal grudges." After Jiang Qi spoke, the people in the arena did not move. Instead, when the elders of the noble clans on the platform heard Jiang Qi's declaration, they all became restless. However, just as they stood up, they felt a formless killing intent heading for them. Let the youths deal with their own matters. Elder Ji, Elder Hua, what do you think? Jiang Qi looked at the elders of the noble clans and smiled faintly. However, the killing intent in his smile was not released. In the end, Jiang Qi still wanted to protect Xiao Qian, so he did not push things too far. Feng Shuani, who had been silent all this while, also smiled faintly and said, I also feel that the youth should deal with their own matters. We old fellows should just watch. It has been a long time since such an interesting youth appeared in the great Qin nation. This old man is willing to help him. As for the outcome, it will depend on his luck. As Feng Shuani spoke, the strong sharpness of the sword monarch instantly encased the elders of the noble clans on the platform. A sword hovered above each of their heads. The elders of the noble clans smiled bitterly to themselves. They wanted to stand up but did not dare to. Even though they were dissatisfied, they did not dare to voice their dissatisfaction. When Xiao Qian felt the situation on the platform, he felt a warmth in his heart. I will definitely repay this favor in the future. Sui Feng, Ruyue Kursen, Mu Chan, and Zhonglai I Xiao Qian, thank you all. You may leave. Today's matter is a personal grudge between my noble clans. I have to settle this personally. Xiao Qian performed a cupped fist salute and persuaded Mu Chan, Zhonglai, and the others to leave. Before Yun Kursen left, she said softly to Xiao Qian, Yi Chan, after this battle, I believe you will become a true bladesman. Xiao Qian smiled faintly and said, Are you so sure that I can clear this stage? Yun Kursen's delicate face was incomparably calm. She smiled gently and said, I said it long ago. My judgment of people has always been very accurate. After sending off Yun Kursen, Xiao Qian went over to Lu Ruyue's side. He felt somewhat guilty and said with much difficulty, Sorry Ruyue. I lied to you for so long. The corners of Lu Ruyue's eyes turned slightly moist. She said, Idiot, why did you not tell me earlier? Why would I blame you? Whether you are Xiao Qian or Yi Chan, in my eyes there is no difference. The last knot in Xiao Qian's heart was untied. His sharp face immediately revealed a joyful smile. You may leave first. This is my karma. I have to settle it personally. Trust me. Lu Ruyue knew that Xiao Qian had made up his mind. She nodded silently and left. After everyone left, aside from the noble clans, only Xiao Qian remained. Xiao Qian was dressed in white robes and had already drawn his lunar shadow saber. He swept his gaze across the faces of these people. Duanmuking, Ji Chongkong, Hua Yunfei, Mu Changxue, Yan Qixue, and the Gi Marquis. For the past year or so, in order to hide from these people, Xiao Qian had changed his appearance, hiding his true appearance. No matter how quiet or low profile a person was, who would be willing to hide their true appearance and hide? Who did not want to walk openly in the world? These noble clans had had enough of it. He, Xiao Qian, had had enough of it as well. Today he would put an end to this. He would make Yi Chen's name become history. He would make everyone only remember Xiao Qian. Xiao Qian's gaze returned to the front. His expression did not change. He tightened his grip on his saber and said indifferently, Are you all coming at me together or one by one? Qi. When Duanmuking, Ji Chongkong, the Gi Marquis, Hua Yunfei, and Mu Changxue heard Xiao Qian's words, they all jumped off. These people were proud and arrogant. It was impossible for them to practice with others against Xiao Qian. Only Yan Qixue and Xiao Qian remained in the previously bustling arena. Yan Qixue felt depressed in his heart. His strength was considered the weakest among these people. Originally, he had intended to work together with the others to deal with Xiao Qian. Even if they did not work together, they would at least wait for everyone to finish fighting first before they went up. However, with the current situation, they could not retreat even if they wanted to. Otherwise, they would lose their face. There is no need to worry. He has fought many battles. He must have exhausted a lot of essence. I should be 50% confident, Yan Qixue consoled himself. Chapter 359. Yan Qixue looked at the white-robed and calm Xiao Qian and said indifferently, Today, I will seek justice for my second brother. Dragon seizing hand. Yan Qixue clapped his hands, and a huge black palm appeared in the sky. This was the Yin clan's inherited martial technique, the dragon-seizing hand. The huge hand was 100 meters wide, and the patterns on the palm could be seen clearly. When it descended, it felt like it covered the sky and covered the sun. Boom! A bolt of lightning flashed in the sky, and Xiao Chun leaped into the air. Electric light flickered on the snow-white lunar shadow saber, and a saber light appeared. Chop! Xiao Chun shouted and swung his saber. The huge black palm was instantly chopped in half, splitting it in the middle. Yin Qixue's expression did not change. He flipped his palm, and the huge black hand in the air immediately healed. The huge black hand grabbed at Xiao Chun, who was in the air. Xiao Chun's figure flashed, and he moved 100 meters to the side before landing on the ground. Bang! The huge black hand that had just landed clenched into a fist and punched at Xiao Chun. The might of the huge hand was very strong. If Xiao Chun clashed head-on, he would exhaust himself. Furthermore, this was just an appetizer. It would be disadvantageous for the later battles. I'll dodge it first. Thinking of this, Xiao Chun's figure flickered continuously. The huge black hand smashed the arena, causing it to tremble continuously. However, it could not catch up to Xiao Chun's speed. Instead, it drained its essence continuously. After a long time of not being able to take down Xiao Chun, its momentum started to weaken. Right now, Xiao Chun found an opportunity. He felt that the speed of the huge black hand had slowed down significantly. Xiao Chun quickly sheathed the lunar shadow saber and raised his right hand to the sky. A similar huge black hand appeared, and its two fingers formed a sword. It pierced through Yin Qixue's huge black hand. Isn't this the inherited martial technique of my Yin clan? He does not have an inherited martial spirit. Even if he had a secret technique, he would not be able to learn it. When Yin Qixue saw the sudden appearance of the huge black hand, he was stunned. Xiao Chun's expression turned grave. He did not give Yin Qixue any chance to hesitate. The giant black hand clenched into a fist and slammed into Yin Qixue's body. Poochie! Yin Qixue's face paled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He was slammed to the ground, and he still could not understand what was going on. Xiao Chun gently waved his hand, and the giant black hand slapped Yin Qixue's body out of the arena with tremendous force. He actually defeated Yin Qixue in one move. And he even used the Yin clan's inherited martial technique. This Xiao Chun is too surprising. They both used inherited martial techniques, but Yin Qixue actually lost to an outsider. How embarrassing. Several cultivators in the spectator stands commented. They were not optimistic about Yin Qixue and Xiao Chun's duel in the first place, so they were not too surprised. However, he did not expect that Yin Qixue would not even last 10 moves from Xiao Chun and would lose just like that. Look, the Gi marquee is going up. I wonder who will win this time. The surrounding cultivators perked up again. The Gi marquee was wearing golden battle armor. He held the 2-meter-long holy weapon, the Sky Splitter, in his hand. He looked at Xiao Chun and said, "You have been fighting continuously and have exhausted a lot of essence. I will give you a handicap of 3 moves. After 3 moves I will make my move." Xiao Chun smiled faintly. "There is no need for you to give me a handicap. We will talk after you can block 3 moves from me." Rushing thunder roars, 10,000 horses gallop. The Gi marquee was not Yin Qixue. He was much stronger than the latter. Xiao Chun did not have any intention of testing the other party. He was prepared to end the fight quickly. He did not wish to drag it out. That would not be good for him. Hence he immediately used his big move. Thunderclouds churned in the sky and a huge electric whirlpool appeared out of nowhere. Instantly the clear sky turned dark. As the whirlpool spun, electric light flickered. The lightning attributed spiritual energy in the surroundings quickly gathered. Rumble, rumble. The sound of thousands of horses galloping resounded from the electric whirlpool. The sound resounded throughout the entire drill grounds, reaching the ears of every cultivator. What martial technique is this? Why is the mysterious phenomenon so shocking? When the cultivators in the spectator stands felt the horrifying energy from the electric whirlpool, their expressions all changed. The Gi marquee's expression turned grave. With a dang sound, he stabbed the sky splitter into the ground in front of him. Zzz! Ripples appeared in the surrounding space. They were like water, causing the figure of the Gi marquee to turn blurry. Xiao Chan felt that the other party was thousands of kilometers away from him. Furthermore, the Guy Marquis's figure was floating without a definite location. The Guy Marquis had used the might of the holy weapon to change the natural laws of the arena, causing everyone's senses to turn chaotic. However, in the end, you are only using the holy weapon to change the natural laws. It is not your own strength. In front of absolute strength, the natural laws are useless. Xiao Chan shouted, and all the lightning-attributed knights in the whirlpool gathered together. Then, a knight flickering with golden electric light walked out. The golden knight roared ferociously. It held up its spear and broke through the obstruction of space, charging at the Guy Marquis at lightning speed. When the golden knight was 100 meters away from the Guy Marquis, his body turned blurry. His lightning-fast speed turned into slow motion, allowing everyone to see him clearly. Who? It was like the golden knight had run for tens of thousands of meters. Time seemed to last forever. However, the flickering golden knight could not touch the Guy Marquis. It was still 100 meters away. However, this situation did not last for long. The rippling space started to crack. Soon the entire small world shattered. There was a limit to how much the holy weapon could change the natural laws. It could not be extended indefinitely. After the electric knight ran for tens of thousands of meters, the golden light of its spear had already dimmed. However, it was still resplendent and dazzling. Dang! The Guy Marquis held his sword horizontally in front of him. The broad blade of the sword pressed against the tip of the spear. A huge force pushed the Guy Marquis back continuously. The Guy Marquis's feet sank deep into the ground. After a while, 2 deep ditches appeared on the ground. The Guy Marquis retreated to the edge of the arena. Half of his feet were in the air. Unable to retreat, the Guy Marquis shouted and leaned back slightly. Then he swung the sky-splitting sword with both hands. Just as the tip of the spear was about to pierce him, the sword struck the electric knight. Xiao Chan knew how horrifying the Guy Marquis' strength was when he was in the ink forest. The electric knight, which had already run for tens of thousands of meters, had exhausted a large portion of its energy. Naturally, the outcome was easy to imagine. There was a loud sound and the force of the sword blasted it into purple electric currents that scattered into the air. Wuxia shakes the heavens. Everything was within Xiao Chen's control. He had already stored up energy and executed the rare move of the Wuxia saber technique. The ancient divine Wuxia tree appeared from nowhere. Its branches were luxuriant, covering the sky and sun. It gave off a resplendent purple light. It was like a mountain made of lightning as it pressed down on the Guy Marquis. The Guy Marquis, who had lost the initiative, had yet to recover his wits from the first killing move. He could only place his left hand on his sword, hoping to block this divine Wuxia tree. Bang! The Guy Marquis had no way to resist. The absolute force crushed a corner of the arena into rubble. The Guy Marquis's feet slipped and he fell off the arena along with the rubble. The lightning-attributed energy of the divine Wuxia tree did not show any signs of dissipating. It tore through the Guy Marquis's defenses and pressed down on his chest. Wuxia! The huge force caused the Guy Marquis's internal organs to tremble. He could not help but vomit a mouthful of blood. Xiao Chen's figure flashed and stood above the arena. He looked calmly at the Guy Marquis on the ground. He said indifferently, "Do you still want to continue?" The Guy Marquis felt extremely dissatisfied. He still had many killing moves that he had not executed. If he had attacked from the start, he would not have ended up in such a passive position. He could not even receive 2 moves. However, it was already too late. Against Xiao Chan, he still dared to be arrogant. His fate was sealed long ago. Unfortunately, this Guy Marquis's defeat is too unjust. To think he was so arrogant, giving Xiao Chan the opportunity to execute his killing move with his full power. Otherwise, he would not have lost so easily, getting knocked off the arena in 2 moves. He dealt with Yan Qixue in 1 move and the Guy Marquis in 2 moves. Furthermore, he fought in consecutive battles and defeated the people from the Holy Lands. What is the limit of this Xiao Chan? Could it be that the noble clan heirs could not defeat him in a continuous battle? After consecutive battles and consecutive victories, Xiao Chan displayed startling strength, shocking everyone. At this moment, there were already people who suspected that he might become famous in 1 battle, shocking the world, trampling on the geniuses of these noble clans and climbing to the peak that belonged to him. That is impossible. The 2 killing moves earlier exhausted a lot of essence. In the end, he is only a peak medial grade martial saint. At most, he would have half of his essence left. The remaining people are all noble heirs with high-ranked inherited martial spirits. Each one is stronger than the last. His essence will only decrease. I guess that he will be defeated soon. Furthermore, don't forget that there is still Mu Changxue, whose strength we do not know. The moment these words were spoken, there were immediately people who retorted. They felt that it was impossible and that Xiao Chan would definitely lose today. Xiao Chan turned a deaf ear to the heated discussions outside the arena. His mental state had already reached a state where he would not be affected by praise or humiliation. The discussions of the outside world did not affect him at all. Hua Yunfei is going up. I heard that he awakened an ancient evil soul. This is the true showdown. Up in the arena, Hua Yunfei looked at the dilapidated arena. He frowned slightly and said, "Let's go to another place." The 2 of them flew up and landed firmly on a brand new arena. Hua Yunfei quickly drew the scarlet sword in his hand. Xiao Chan revealed an evil smile on his handsome face. Although I have only comprehended the state of massacre to small perfection, it is sufficient to deal with you now. Wuxia. Without giving Xiao Chan a chance to speak, Hua Yunfei sent out a scarlet sword qi. His figure followed the sword qi and quickly pressed forward. Clearly, Xiao Chan did not want to make the same mistake as the Gi Marquis. Glittering Wuxia. Xiao Chan gently swung the lunar shadow saber and sent out a strand of dense purple saber qi. This was the first move of the Wuxia saber technique infused with the state of thunder. Hua Yunfei smiled faintly and said, "The state of massacre is on a higher level than all other states. No matter how powerful your state of thunder is, it is useless." Wuxia. The incomparably ferocious state of massacre on the scarlet sword qi easily shattered the purple saber qi that Xiao Chan sent out. Bloody world, shadowless sword passing. Chapter 360. Taking advantage of the time when Xiao Chan dodged the scarlet sword qi, Hua Yunfei's killing move followed closely behind. Scarlet light filled the air. There seemed to be countless scarlet figures executing sword techniques in the arena. Strands of scarlet sword qi moved at a strange frequency, fluctuating like the sea. A horrifying state of massacre spread throughout the entire arena, causing everyone's heart to tremble. Dang! 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 Activating the windwalk shoes, Xiao Chan moved about in the sky filled with sword images. He brandished his saber and chopped apart the sword qi flying at him. Every sword shadow seemed to be a real martial artist wielding a long sword to attack, stab, chop, hack or flick. The angle of the attacks was random, and they came and went without a trace. It was tiring to deal with them. Hua Yunfei actually managed to completely learn an ancient martial technique. He truly lives up to his reputation as a rare genius of the Hua clan. This time Xiao Chan is in danger. Indeed, ancient martial techniques and current martial techniques are not of the same system. Normally, even if one obtained an ancient martial technique, it would be very difficult to truly master it. It would be very difficult to use it in actual combat. Look at this arena. There are endless sword images rising and falling one after another. Even a martial king would find it hard to block them. When the cultivators in the spectator stand saw the scarlet sword images filling the arena, they recognized that this was an ancient martial technique. They could not help but worry for Xiao Chan. Hua Yunfei's figure was hidden among these sword images. Occasionally he would send out a sharp sword attack, catching people off guard. In an instant, Xiao Chen's arms and legs suffered from several sword wounds, no matter how fast he was. Even if he was fast, he would not be able to dodge these unending and unpredictable sword images. Xiao Chan could only do his best to avoid any injuries to his vital points. Furthermore, there was a state of massacre that interfered with Xiao Chen's heart. There were killing moves hidden within the killing moves one after another. This martial technique was truly unimaginable. Haha, Xiao Chan, this move must not be easy to take, right? Thanks to you, I awakened the ancient evil soul in my body. This martial technique is the inheritance of the ancient evil soul. In the ancient era, the evil soul used this move. The continuous stream of sword shadows could cover an area of 100 meters, encompassing heaven and earth. If a god blocked it, it would kill a god, and if a demon blocked it, it would kill a demon. Hua Yunfei looked at the tired Xiao Chen and laughed arrogantly. He wanted to strike a blow to Xiao Chen's fighting spirit and make him collapse prematurely. His mind was clear. Xiao Chen kept his heart calm. He was not worried, not confused, and not afraid. Xiao Chen ignored Hua Yunfei's words and wandered around the arena, exhibiting the state of thunder to its peak. Xiao Chen blocked the red sword shadows that came from all directions. At the same time, he did his best to discern the pattern of these sword shadows. The state of thunder infused with holy might could only barely knock these sword shadows back. It could not completely destroy them. The state of massacre is indeed not easy to deal with, Xiao Chen thought to himself. However, it is fortunate that I have the state of massacre as well. After blocking for a while, Xiao Chen finally figured out the pattern of the sword shadows. It was time to make a move. Xiao Chen gently removed the blue strip of cloth from his forehead. A scarlet mark appeared on his forehead. Xiao Chen's angular face immediately turned strange. The scarlet throne mark on his forehead released a strand of red light. Under the illumination of the red light, Xiao Chen's face looked even more strange. Wuxia transforms to qi. Xiao Chen shouted and merged the state of massacre with the state of thunder. Occasionally, a red light flickered among the hundreds of purple saber qi formed by the divine Wuxia tree. Bang! 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 In the arena, the scarlet sword qi and the purplish-red saber qi clashed in the air. A series of explosions rang out, ringing out endlessly in the sky above Lei Tian. Hua Yunfei's expression changed slightly. He grasped the scarlet sword tightly and said in disbelief, "How did you comprehend the state of massacre as well?" The continuous sounds of explosions created violent air currents in the air, and the surrounding railings of the arena were immediately smashed into pieces. Xiao Chen's hair fluttered and his white robes fluttered. He smiled gently and said, "Who made the rule that you are the only one who can comprehend the state of massacre?" Qi breaks Wuxia. The purple and red saber qi contained the berserk state of thunder and the state of massacre. It pierced through the boundless shockwaves and headed for Hua Yunfei. Hua Yunfei brandished his sword and gathered the scattered scarlet light on his sword. He thrust the tip of his sword forward and a spot of scarlet light appeared, blocking the tip of the saber qi. Z. The two states clashed intensely in the air, neither giving way to the other. They gave off crackling sounds and scarlet ripples appeared in the air. The states surged forward. Boom! Just as the two states clashed with each other, thunder suddenly roared in the sky. An electric light suddenly shot out from the purple and red saber qi. Hua Yunfei's state immediately broke. He quickly dodged backward. However, the saber qi still pierced through his right shoulder, leaving behind a finger-sized bloody hole. So, I was only clashing with the pure state of massacre earlier. I did not even use the state of thunder, Hua Yunfei thought in horror. You are far from being able to compare states with me. I don't care what ancient martial technique you have. Break. Xiao Chen leaped up gently and his figure flashed. He infused the state of massacre into the state of thunder and brandished his saber qi, forcing Hua Yunfei to defend. The situation immediately reversed. Xiao Chen's figure danced around. Strands of purple and red saber qi easily destroyed all of Hua Yunfei's killing moves. Blood shadow chop. Break. Sea of blood and mountain of corpses. Break. Blood illuminating the mountains and rivers. Break. No matter how many powerful moves you have, my two states, the state of thunder and the state of massacre, will break them with one saber strike. Break. 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 Hua Yunfei vomited 3 mouthfuls of blood. Xiao Chen broke all 3 of his killing moves with one saber strike. The surging energy was like a tsunami, forcing Hua Yunfei to retreat. Ding! The ferocious energy surged over again. The sword in Hua Yunfei's hand was immediately knocked away. Xiao Chen stepped forward and sent a palm strike at Hua Yunfei's chest, sending him flying. Hua Yunfei's body slid quickly across the arena. Soon he reached the edge of the arena. His complexion was pale as he struggled to stand up. Suddenly he felt a chill on his neck. It was Xiao Chen moving over and pressing his saber against his neck. Xiao Chen said expressionlessly, "Hua Yunfei, you have lost." "I did not lose. How could I lose to trash like you? Back then I could easily kill you with one finger. This is impossible. Hua Yunfei pulled the saber away from his neck and leaped up. Then he launched himself at Xiao Chan. Reckless fool. Xiao Chan kicked Hua Yunfei's face. The huge force caused Hua Yunfei to flip several times in the air. He landed head first outside the arena. He won again. Xiao Chan won again. Who can end him? Hua Yunfei's strength is at the peak of martial saints. He has grasped an ancient martial technique. Even a regular martial king would be able to kill him easily. However, he still lost to Xiao Chan. How many trump cards does Xiao Chan have? I think the state of massacre is his final trump card. However, even if he knows it, it will still be difficult to deal with. Another overwhelming victory caused the crowd to erupt into an uproar. Some people even firmly believed that Xiao Chan would be able to defeat all his opponents. Today, on the heaven viewing platform, Xiao Chan had fought many battles. Regardless of whether his opponents were from the Holy Lands or the geniuses of the noble clans, none of them were mediocre. However, without exception, Xiao Chan defeated his opponents in an overwhelming manner. With such strength, even if he lost the next few matches, there was no need to doubt his talent and strength. As long as Xiao Chan could escape this calamity, he would definitely rise up in the future. At that time, the noble clans would be like floating clouds in his eyes. High up in the clouds, Nangong Lai watched the scene on the heaven viewing platform. He smiled faintly and said, "It looks like there is no need for us to make a move. This brat might be able to escape this calamity." And you looked around and said softly, "Now, it all depends on the people from the Holy Lands. These noble clans might not be able to stop him." On the platform, the elders of the noble clans had unsightly expressions. They wanted to move but did not dare to. They felt very sullen. The Misty Sword Sect's first elder said softly, "Chaoyun, how confident are you of dealing with this brat?" Chu Chaoyun carried his sword on his back and smiled gently. "Victory will be decided in one move. What do you think, first elder?" "Ha ha. In that case, I can rest assured." The Misty Sword Sect's first elder laughed happily. Up in the arena, Xiao Chun looked at Duanmiqing Ji Chongkong and Mu Changxue. He said softly, "The three of you come at me together. Otherwise, you will not stand a chance against me." The moment Xiao Chan said that, everyone's heart skipped a beat. Is this Xiao Chun crazy? He actually took the initiative to ask them to attack together. Ji Chongkong smiled coldly and said, "Xiao Chan, if you are really seeking death, I am not afraid to grant your wish." No expression could be seen on Duanmiqing's cold face. He said coldly, "Do you really think that you are qualified?" Mu Changxue held the holy weapon, Beauty Under the Moon. He revealed a playful smile on his handsome face. He said softly, "If you only have this much strength, you are not even qualified to force me to draw my sword." The three of them were proud and arrogant people, dragons and phoenixes among men. Since they were young, they had enjoyed the limelight of everyone. They had all sorts of halos above their heads. When had they ever been looked down on like this? Boom! 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 Three strong auras soared into the sky. A resplendent starlight and countless stars flickered. That was Ji Chongkong's state of stars. A bone-chilling coldness spread in the sky. A cold light shone brightly, and a boundless cold chi spread in the air. It was Duanmuqing's peak great perfection state of ice. A gentle and warm moonlight scattered down, moving one's heart like a cool breeze. This was Mu Changshua's strange state of bright moon. Under the calm surface, there was an overwhelming aura. When the three auras merged, they shattered the clouds in the sky. Winds blew, clouds churned, and the sky changed color. All the cultivators in the drill grounds felt a strong pressure on their shoulders. It was like a mountain pressing down on them. Dressed in white robes, Xiao Chan held a saber with a sharp saber light. He smiled faintly at the strong aura. He gently raised his right leg and stomped it down. With the dragon and tiger body sculpting art at peak great perfection, Xiao Chen's pure strength could reach 50,000 kilograms of force. With his full power, he could reach 50,000 kilograms of force. When infused with essence, he could reach 100,000 kilograms of force. More importantly, this force could be freely controlled and perfectly manipulated. Chapter 361. Xiao Chan merged his essence and strength with this one kick and stomped on the ground gently. The wide arena made of heavenly mountain stones and frost iron slowly sank into the ground. Bang! 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 The ground of the drill ground could not withstand the pressure of the arena sinking into the ground. Deep cracks formed and quickly spread out. The cracks continued to spread, and the other arenas on the drill ground were torn apart and smashed into pieces. The 1,000-meter-long drill ground shook incessantly, and even the surrounding spectator stands were shaking. The shaking continued for a long time before it slowly stopped. The arena under Xiao Qin's feet was now level with the ground. A surging aura surged out from Xiao Qin's body. It clashed with the auras of Duanmuking's group of 3, giving off a sharp aura. Now do I have the qualifications for the 3 of you to attack me together? Xiao Qin said calmly. His handsome face, which was like a scabbard, revealed its sharpness. It was like an unsheathed treasured saber. He only wanted to find someone to test how sharp this treasured saber was. Xiao Chan had long wanted to test his true strength, to see how strong he was. He had not had enough in the previous few matches. This feeling was like getting more and more excited. Just as you were about to unleash your full power, the other party was already lying on the ground, leaving you with nowhere to exert your strength. This happened over and over again. Xiao Chan had had enough of it. Now he only wanted to fight to his heart's content and fight with all his might. Suddenly, the silent Feng Shuani on the platform said, "If this fellow can win this match, then he will snatch away all the luck of these noble heirs. Who knows, he might really become a legend in the future." The strength that Xiao Chen displayed in his strong aura caused the expressions of the 3 to change. They were greatly startled. Silence? In that case, I will take it as your tacit agreement, Xiao Chan said indifferently. He pushed off the ground and relied on pure force to shoot towards the 3 like an arrow. Ji Chongkong shouted coldly, "If you are seeking death, then I can't be bothered to talk about morality with you." Astral sword technique, resplendent starlight. The sky above the arena suddenly turned pitch black. Countless stars twinkled in the sky, and the day turned into night in an instant. Countless starlight descended, and a deep starry sky appeared in Ji Chongkong's eyes. He raised his sword and used the starlight to clash. Ding! At the same time, Mu Changshua unsheathed his sacred weapon, Beauty under the moonlight. The blade of his sword reflected a golden full moon. In that moonlight there seemed to be another world. A long and drawn out, like a woman's beautiful and pleasant voice, rang out, tugging at the heartstrings of those who heard it. Duanmuking, who had been silent for a long time, also made his move at this moment. His jet-black hair turned white, and his eyes completely lost all human emotions, becoming incomparably cold. A slender sword appeared in her hand. It carried a bone-chilling state of ice as it stabbed fiercely at Xiao Chan. At this moment, even if she was not willing to admit it, she was not a match for Xiao Chan alone. When Xiao Chan saw the 3 attacking at the same time, he smiled faintly. He suddenly stopped and landed firmly on the ground. Xiao Chan brandished his saber and the image of a flower bud appeared under his feet. After a while, the Wuxia flower bud flickered with alternating purple and red light, enveloping Xiao Chan. Bang! 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 When the attacks of Duanmuking and the other 2 landed on the flower bud, it did not budge at all. The purple electric light and scarlet light flickered continuously, looking very strange. The 3 exchanged glances and the essence in their bodies quickly surged. Then they launched an even more ferocious attack. The strong sword techniques infused with the states of the 3 struck the ground, creating deep trenches. However, that strange flower bud did not budge at all. Within the flower bud, Xiao Qin's expression did not change. He suppressed the surging qi and blood in his body and quickly formed hand seals. Wuxia blossoms. When the 3 of them were about to launch their 3rd attack, the alternating purple and red flower bud suddenly blossomed. A surging shockwave spread out in all directions. The 3 of them were caught off guard and were swept back by the shockwave. Countless flower petals danced in the air within the shockwave. The entire sky of the drill grounds was filled with alternating purple and red flower petals. It was incomparably beautiful. Xiao Chan pushed off the ground and caught up to the slower Ji Chongkong. After passing through the sky full of flower petals, Xiao Qin's speed increased explosively. In an instant he caught up to Ji Chongkong. Ji Changkong's expression turned grave. Suddenly, he grew 100 meters taller and turned around. The star that belonged to him in the boundless starry sky suddenly lit up. A resplendent pillar of light descended from the distant sky. Astral swordplay, eternal light. A majestic sword light shot out from the sword at Xiao Chan, who was behind him at lightning speed. Boom! The sword light was like a pillar. It was resplendent and dazzling. When it struck the ground of the drill grounds, it created a deep black hole that made one's heart palpitate. This series of actions happened in the time it took for a spark to fly. It was so fast that no one could keep up with it. Did I hit him? Ji Changkong frowned slightly and took a deep breath. To be able to execute this move in such a short period of time, Ji Changkong was already doing very well. The might is pretty good. Unfortunately, I can't hit him. In the end, it is useless. Suddenly, Xiao Qin's calm voice came from behind Ji Changkong. Ji Changkong's expression immediately changed. He quickly turned around and held his sword horizontally in front of his chest. Dang! Ji Changkong chopped down with his saber and was knocked back several meters. His right hand, which was holding the sword, felt numb from the impact. He quickly switched to a two-handed grip. The petals filled the sky and there were invisible motes of light. When the motes of light landed on Xiao Qin's body, his speed increased by 30%. Ji Changkong had just retreated when Xiao Chen arrived at his side again. His saber light flickered, following him like a shadow. In an instant he sent out more than 100 attacks. Retreat! Retreat! Retreat again! Ji Changkong barely managed to block Xiao Qin's attacks. He was suppressed to the point where he did not even have a chance to breathe. In one breath, he retreated several hundred meters. Hu Qi! A strand of killing qi came from behind. Xiao Chen dodged to the side. It was Mu Changxue charging over with the beauty under the moonlight. Ji Changkong took a deep breath and retreated 100 meters. Just as Xiao Chen dodged Mu Changxue's attack, an extremely cold aura came from above. Duamuqing was charging over as well. Xiao Chen smiled gently and swept his saber forward, knocking away Mu Changxue's sword. After that, he quickly somersaulted and dodged the attacks of the two. Dang! 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 The attacks of the two were relentless. They brought out the state of ice to its limits. The cold qi penetrated Xiao Qin's skin and entered his body, causing him to slow down slightly. Occasionally, a soft hum came from Mu Changxue's sword. Everyone could not help but turn their ears to listen, disrupting Xiao Qin's state of mind. The state of massacre infused into his saber technique. Xiao Chen maintained his original state of mind. He blocked left and right, blocking the attacks of the two. She was able to block the sword, but she could not block the sword light on the sword. Her white robes were torn, and blood appeared on her fair skin. Duamuqing and Ji Changkong were not in a good state either. Xiao Qin's sword light contained two states at the same time. When it struck them, the damage they caused was even more obvious. Ha! A beam of starlight descended behind Xiao Qin. Ji Changkong had finished resting and rejoined the battle. The three of them formed a large circle surrounding Xiao Chen. The three of them fought among the petals that filled the air. They kicked up dust, ice, starlight, moonlight, and the occasional flickering of scarlet lightning. Dust filled the air, and energy spread everywhere. Everyone in the spectator stands opened their eyes wide as they watched the battle anxiously. The intensity of the battle completely surpassed their expectations. Xiao Chen fought 1 against 3, surrounded by danger. He was like a lone boat on the sea in a violent storm. It swayed back and forth, looking like it would be swallowed by the waves at any moment. However, it stopped and did not sink. Just when everyone thought that he would be killed, he strangely dodged their killing moves and launched a sharp counterattack. His white robes had already turned red from the blood. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly to himself. I finally feel carefree this time. However, the price I paid is rather high. However, I am a cultivator. I am born in a great age where geniuses appear in large numbers. If I do not go against the heavens and face the difficulties head-on, how can I stand out from the crowd? How can I reach the peak of cultivation in the future? Xiao Chen reared his head back and laughed loudly. A heroic spirit rose in his heart. He could not help but speed up his movements, deflecting the attacks of the three. Let's see how long you can last. Again. Ji Changkong roared ferociously. Starlight flickered around him as he quickly charged forward again. Up until now, both sides were truly enraged. At this moment, it was no longer a competition of strength. It was a competition of willpower. The one who could persevere and not collapse first would be the one who had the last laugh. Duamuking's white hair fluttered in the wind. His expression did not change at all. There were no visible fluctuations. A cold chi surged from his entire body, chilling everyone to the bone. Even Mu Changxue and Ji Chongkong were unwilling to get close. It was hard to imagine how Xiao Chen, who was the target of this cold chi, could persevere. The cold was bone-piercing. However, Xiao Chen had already cultivated dragon tendon tiger bone long ago. His body was reborn, and the cold chi could not penetrate his meridians. Although it was unbearable, he could persevere. Ding! 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 The seemingly never-ending battle continued for another hour. Under the sharp attacks, the four of them were covered in wounds of various sizes. However, the weapons in their hands did not stop. Such a high-intensity battle was a great test of their willpower. Xiao! A fierce flame started burning in Xiao Chen's right eye. Finally, all the flames gathered together and elongated into a purple arrow. The arrow headed for Duanmuking, who posed the greatest threat among the three. Duamuking's expression changed slightly. He felt a dangerous aura in his heart. He quickly retreated and ice formed around his body. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. He did not care about the might of the purple light. He looked around and immediately attacked Ji Chongkong, who was behind him. Xiao Chen had been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. Of the three, Ji Chongkong was the weakest. Xiao Chen could only look for an opening. Xiao Chen first diverted the strongest, Duanmuking, and broke their encirclement. Then he quickly made his move. After Duanmuking left, the cold chi in Xiao Chen's body immediately dissipated. His ghostly movement technique reappeared. He turned around and stabbed his sword into Ji Chongkong's chest. You're tuning into the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.